I was making a conscious effort to not say the line that you probably hear all the time. Just take a seat.
Have a seat right over there.
Why don't you have a seat right over here for me, Chris?
Yeah, South Park did it best, but yeah.
Can you say it again?
Yeah, have a seat right over there.
Yeah, it's different.
Man.
Yeah, Arian just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Arian's heard that before.
I'm saying because not in that way. So we used to have
All right, welcome back to Macrodosing. It is Thursday. It's May 11th, and we've got a very special guest on today's show. It's Chris Hansen from To Catch a Predator. Great dude, came in the studio and talked for, I don't know, like an hour. So cool interview with him coming up. Right off the bat, we have a new Woodward and or Bernstein on our hands. Who would have thought that out of everybody on this show, Billy Football would be quoted in the Washington Post? Billy, you were quoted in the Washington Post?
I'm not exactly sure about that, but one of the reporters have been using the clip of me saying he's definitely going to jail.
A lot.
I mean, I'm not the first person to say that he's definitely going to jail. But I think...
You're the first person that I've heard say it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they actually was DMing with the guy. He said that we had one of the best interviews with him out of any media outlet.
Now, wait, let's reset it because we're using a lot of pronouns here, but we're not saying who we're talking about. George Santos,
yes,
has been indicted by the federal government. He's turned himself in, right? He got arrested officially today.
Yes.
And Billy was the first to report that he would be arrested after he came on the show. You also really dug into him with those questions, like how many people would you say worked for your financial firm?
Yeah, I mean,
so I think you had a hand in actually Billy low-key snitched on George Santos.
Yeah,
not snitching. We've established that it's not snitching. He's not in a crime syndicate. Good job, Billy.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, good point.
Yep. So when I was so that's why the May 5th video with him didn't happen, because he knew that he was getting arrested. Like, remember we planned for me to go out to meet with him? Yeah, so that's why that...
Did you actually reach out to him?
Yeah, that's why that thing didn't happen. Totally followed up and everything, but he was like, in an icky situation.
I heard he was actually supposed to do a piece of content with someone else at this company yesterday, the day he was arrested.
Oh, potentially a pizza review.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally buy that, but also when Billy says things like, I totally followed up with him and everything, and we were set to do it on May 5th. That makes me wonder exactly if Billy's using George Santos's arrest as a convenient way to retroactively get out of doing work.
Nope, totally nope. But if you did look at his finance records, basically, I was looking at all the stuff, and that's why I was asking him those questions. Basically, he got into politics to launder money from his Ponzi scheme that I asked him about, Harbor City Capital, because there was just two stories and no one could, not that they couldn't connect it, but they couldn't outwardly say it, where it was like Harbor City Capital was a firm he was involved in that was a Ponzi scheme. We don't know where all his money came from. Those were two things that happened, and it was kind of like, well, if there was only so many employees of Harbor City Capital, he probably knew it was a Ponzi scheme and was probably in charge of laundering some of the money, allegedly. Don't know if I can get in trouble for that. But that's what I was trying to corner him on when he was on the green couch.
So he's under arrest right now, and you can still run for office if you're under federal indictment, right?
Yeah. We talked about you can run for office if you're in prison.
In jail, yeah.
The founding fathers ensured of that because they wanted to make sure that there was no like unfair political dissidence, and that, you know, the word of the people takes its turn in our leadership.
That would actually be sick if we had a president that was in prison.
Like Mandela would have gotten elected in prison in South Africa if he could, but that wasn't a free system. Someone like Mandela could easily get elected in America if we had a similar like political dissidence situation.
I don't know about like easily, but
not easily, but like possibly.
That would be sick if somebody was in prison and they were having like people would have to smuggle phones in their butts to get the dude running it on the outside from the inside like a gang leader.
Well, Joe Exotic.
I was going to say that was the one we talked about.
Yeah,
Joe Exotic from prison.
Yeah.
He definitely has a bunch of guys who'd shove stuff up their butts for him.
Good one, Billy.
That's a good point, Billy.
What are his actual charges? Do we know?
Yes. It's theft of public funds. So basically stealing from his
campaign, I think, technically.
like from taxpayers. And then it is money laundering and wire fraud.
The big one was that he was collecting unemployment while he was also being paid 120 grand a year by, I don't know exactly what, but he was making 120 grand a year and also collecting unemployment.
Here it goes. I found it. He's charged with 7 counts of wire fraud, 3 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of theft of public funds, and 2 counts of making materially false statements to the House of Representatives.
There's some crazy quotes.
Wait. But he's in the House of Representatives.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Is it against the law for a congressperson to lie to other congresspeople?
I don't.
It must be when
so.
it probably has
He
to
must have
do
been
with
questioned,
something.
Yeah. He might have been questioned about something.
Yeah, like on oath.
Under oath, like perjury. Yeah. Wow, that sounds like bad news for old Devil Dare Santos there, huh?
Devil for Mitt Romney, though, huh?
Yeah.
It also seems, I hadn't seen this till just now, but Santos is charged with unemployment benefits fraud. The House is slated to vote this week on a bill to help states recover fraudulent COVID unemployment payments. Santos is a co-sponsor of that bill.
You remember when he was like, we were pressing him a little bit, and he said, well, I've been cleared of all wrongdoing. I'm not under any investigations whatsoever. And then we were like, well, what about like all the check fraud and all that? And he was like, that's in the process of being cleared up right now. But besides that, I'm not under any investigations.
He blamed it on the slow courts in, I think, Brazil, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And he settled with them in court, basically admitting he was guilty and just had to pay the person he defrauded, which I think was just someone working in a store that he gave a bad check to, the money back. So he basically admitted in the court of law that he did steal something, and then on our green couch he said, I've never stolen anything in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably could have wiggled out of that one, being like, just to get this whole case to go away in Brazil, I admitted to it to pay it off.
That's why I was so angry with like doing it. I couldn't shake his hand because he's just like, you're obviously a liar, and like don't sit here and lie to me to my face, dog.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit, it was infuriating me at the time, and I was like, bro, come on, man.
It sucks because we're
I'm still
definitely
upset that he didn't. Just upset he didn't wear the sweater vest on the show.
It sucks that now more
Slighted.
frauds won't come on the show because we got this one arrested.
Yo, the macrodosing curse, man.
It hits in different ways.
Jimmy Carter is the kryptonite to our macrodosing curse. Though. He is that man's just holding on. Nah, you know what?
He's beat it at
Jimmy
this
Carter.
point.
I was saying I'm in the Jimmy Carter Stay Alive camp now. Let's go. Let's push for 110. Let's go.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter. He went into hospice like a year ago.
He's doing his thing, man.
We
for
definitely
him.
need crystals. That's been on me. I dropped the ball on the crystals.
Let's go
we
get
don't-
crystals.
That's okay. Yeah, it's okay if you drop the ball on those.
It's not a good, like, people are going to stop coming on this show, though, because you
No.
end up dead or in jail.
No,
Nah,
if we mention you, you die.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
No,
it's
Come on the
different.
show.
Jail.
We should just try to interview people that are about to go to jail. I'm actually interested to hear people say things like about the preparations that they take before they go to prison. There's probably a lot of stuff that you have to do.
Oh, I
Get
had
your affairs in order. You have to, like, I don't know, maybe start working out a bunch.
You got to
you
find
pull a
the
Ted Nugent and you just don't shower for a while.
dumbest reporter at the New York Times to come follow you around for a week.
Yeah.
There's a guy I worked with, and he had to go to jail for like a fraud thing, and he just like worked out. He did steroids. He got in really good shape, and then he had a big party before he went.
What was he
That would
going
be a
for?
fun party.
Yeah,
What was he going for?
some sort of fraud. Didn't really get into it, but basically, I think he wasn't paying his taxes and just getting paid in cash.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
What would you do, Big T, if you knew that you were going to go to prison like a month from today? Let's see. It's May 11th. So June 11, you know you have to report to a federal penitentiary. What do you do?
I don't know. I couldn't handle I'd rather just go. Like, I couldn't handle having a couple months or whatever to just think about it. I would rather just go now.
Yeah, just throw me in a van and take me away.
Like, if sitting there for a month being like, you know, if you have something coming up that you're just like, fuck, I don't want to do that.
You know what I would do? I would make all sorts of plans. Like I would tell all my friends I was going to go to like their kids' rehearsals. I was going to do everything. I was going to just show up to all these appointments. I would make a bunch of appointments and shit. And then knowing that I was going to go to prison and wouldn't have to go to them, I would just be like, peace him out.
Nah, because you don't show up and then they'd be like, that's why he's in jail.
Yeah, that's like he's just a bad person. He should be in jail.
Nah,
Yeah.
I would definitely get in shape. I would work out. And then just party. Have a whole bunch of like drugs and alcohol, and we just have a good time. Send me off the right way for like 3 days, just straight, like on a yacht or some shit. You know what I mean? Like, let me enjoy this freedom. It also depends on how long I'm going for too.
That's kind of what Andrew Tate did before he went. He was just on a yacht for 3 weeks and he got arrested.
Arian, if you went, actually, you should get back in the acting game and just put your name out there if they're interested in doing another Longest Yard starring Arian Foster.
I'm in. 1,000% in.
Did you watch the last two?
Did not.
It's good. Stone Cold was in the last one, actually. He played one of the prison guards.
I heard. I know Nelly was in it. I heard he was the running back actually, because people send me clips like he kind of move a little bit.
Good movie.
Yeah, Nelly.
Great movie.
Yeah, great movie. Nelly made a nice little career for himself from like I want to say 2003 until 2018 or so, where he would just show up and play in every celebrity all-star game. It didn't matter what sport. It could have been basketball, football, baseball. He was always there, and he was always like the best celebrity that was playing.
Yeah, I heard he was an athlete. I ain't never really seen him play. Do they still do that, the celebrity all-star game? Is that still a thing?
In basketball, yeah.
Yeah.
In baseball too.
Jack Harlow was the last person I remember people were going off about. J. Cole was before that.
Yeah. Well, J. Cole like played professional basketball after that for a minute.
Oh yeah.
Professional stretch.
Didn't he play
semi-pro?
overseas?
Yeah.
That's professional.
He's getting paid.
All right.
I just want to throw it out there. If anybody wants to invite me to participate in a celebrity all-star game, I will say no, but then I'll let Billy do it for me. So if you want to ask,
Sweet.
I'll pass that down to Billy.
Why are you stuck on making commitments and not following through, man? That's 2 comments in a row.
PC, are you going to jail?
You got something you don't want to do, bro?
No, I'm just saying that like playing in a celebrity all-star game, it sounds like something that would be fun to do if you're a little bit younger. But as you get older, you run that risk of, if I went out there and tried to play in like a flag football game and actually tried really hard, I guarantee you there would be like an Achilles that would just get torn, and then I'd be done. And so I would just pass that along to somebody else to do.
I'd be down with a football one if it was a quarterback. Other than that, I'm not running and sprinting this shit.
You play quarterback?
Yeah. I just got invited to play in a pro-am for the Live Tour.
Really?
Yeah, but I can't make it. I think it's this Thursday, but I can't make it. But he said the next one that they do, they definitely gonna holler at me. I was like, bet, let's do it.
What?
Did you get a bag?
Wait, that's awesome.
Nah, they I mean, it's like all expense paid. Like they fly you out, put you up in the hotel, all that shit. But I think it's just
In Dubai?
In America or?
no, this one was not. This one was in America. Yeah.
Who were you gonna play with?
They said they were gonna put me like with like I think Brooks, Koepka, and like there was another dude that was like, you know, saying either like you'll be with the top player, and I was like, that's cool. I was like, I didn't request any of this shit. They were just like, we'll do it, and I was like, that's what's up. I'm definitely down to do it, but I couldn't do it this week.
That's amazing.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, why?
Give
What
it
else
to
do you
Billy.
have going? No, I can't play golf.
I got fucking kids, bro.
Yeah, true.
Or at least like
Wait,
Uh,
what?
What could possibly be
Arian,
in your way?
Right.
Aaron, can you see if Hank can play? That's Hank's dream, is to play on the Live Tour. Well, my dream too. Actually, no. Hank wants to play on the Corn Ferry. I want to play on the Live Tour, but Hank would love to do that.
Corn Ferry is like a real, like that's how you get into the PGA Tour, I think, right? It's like one of the
Yep.
you qualify for that. Yeah.
I'm on the Corn Ferry Tour on PGA right now. I'm in the finals. If I finish, I think like top 5 in this, I get my PGA Tour card.
Oh, you guys
go.
Do you guys know all the weird rules of golf that can get you disqualified?
I mean, not all.
I don't know if I know all of them.
Yeah, well, it turns
I don't
out
know
this
about
like
them.
this,
all the rules of football. Bro.
this amateur like college player, Jerry Thornton blogged about it, like got disqualified after shooting a 62 on a course.
Oh yeah.
What happened?
So he was repairing divot marks on aerated greens, and apparently that's not allowed. See, that's the issue I have with golf. Is they got a bunch of silly fucking rules like that turns people away from the game. Like there's no point in that shit. Just let him off with a warning. Like to disqualify, you shot the 62, bro. It's just a silly shit. There's a whole bunch of there was let me think of one. I think there was one where a dude, they were in a playoff, and a dude, one of the groundskeepers or somebody was like, "Hey, you want to ride to the I think it's the 18th tee?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so they gave him a ride to the 18th tee, and they disqualified him because he got a ride. And I'm like that shit goofy, man.
What is an aerated?
You got to be smarter than that, though. You got to be smarter than to hop into a golf cart. An aerated green is sometimes they roll these devices over the greens and create a lot of little holes in them to let them breathe out and let some of the water escape, I think is why they do it. So it's like golf course maintenance, and they do it a few times a year. They usually don't play tournaments on it. That's what's weird. It's like if you know that there's going to be a tournament there.
He even told on himself though. That's the weirder part about golf.
Yeah.
To me. It's like they be diving themselves out, and he was like, "I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I didn't turn myself in."
I have a feeling.
Crying,
you know what?
From a different cloth. We was growing up. It's like, yo, if you get caught, you get caught. Like if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Is how we do. Like get every competitive advantage available.
This sounds like he cheated doing something else, and now that's what he's saying he disqualified himself for.
Okay. No. Golfers are like, they're such nerds.
No, but that's how
this is definitely, but also it gets you some, what's the word I'm looking for?
Notoriety?
Like social credit, social credit. Yeah.
Oh.
If you are a golfer and you like turn yourself in for the smallest technicality and you're like, the game's bigger than me, I just like to say that, yeah, I cheated. Like we would not be talking about this guy's 62 that he shot, but we are talking about the fact that he's so honest that he got disqualified. What's this guy hiding? That's my question.
I'm with that. I don't. Matter of fact, them be them all like fucking all American, like do everything. Like them, they be the ones with bodies in their closet, bro.
Yeah.
Like, doing everything correct. Nah, you're a human, bro.
Black Mirror social credit score. His social just went up on his phone. He's like, "Whoa, I did good."
Yeah, he's going to get a discount on his next apartment.
That's one of the worst compliments I hate in sports. When people are like, "What a class act! What a classy!" Like, shut the fuck up, bro. It's just so weak, bro. I know I'm a pessimist though. I know people gonna hear that like, "This is negative." Like, no, fuck that shit. Fuck class.
Well, it's
fuck
for losers. Because
that's what they say about the guys
who lose.
Violent. I want sports to be violent and aggressive, and you're supposed to not like each other. Fuck all that.
Oh, dude, you're gonna love this video I saw. Dude, this is the greatest bear fight video I've ever seen. And if you're looking for that,
how'd you get there?
No.
If you like humans playing basketball, wait till you see bears fight.
No, this is the greatest bear fight video I've ever seen in my life. I blogged several bear fight videos. Like,
I know.
Like 25 plus, because I was putting them all in the bear fight video blog. This is the greatest I've ever seen.
All right, give us the background, man.
Two bears just met up after hunting salmon, and they had beef.
Fam. Like, where were they at?
Oh, Alaska.
Conditions. Like, come on, fam. What kind of bears are they?
Okay, so the two grizzly bears. This is bad podcasting because it's a video. But two grizzly bears, they're eating salmon. Then this young grizzly bear, little undersized, but you can tell he's got a little, a little cocky, a little pep in his step. He rolls up on a big old grizzly bear that you can tell is like just a veteran, way more grizzled. And they start going at it. And what's weird about this bear fight is that it goes on for so long. And this older grizzly bear just gives him all the work, like puts him down. Like, and the thing is, this is like, if you watch grizzly videos when they're fighting, usually it ends at about 30 seconds to a minute. This went 5 minutes. The young guy wouldn't stand down, and the older grizzly bear mauled him, really tore him apart. And
okay, so
insane.
Once again, what does this have to do with being classy in competition?
Well, he said, I like my sports to be violent. Like, this is the most violent bear fight I've ever seen.
So I'm watching the bear fight. What I like about it at first is these two bears roll up to each other, and they do the thing where they pretend that they just don't see each other.
Yeah.
They're both trying to be so dominant that they won't even look at the other bear. And then, yeah, I mean, these guys are athletes, straight up.
God, this is why I don't go out and don't camp and shit, bro. Look at these niggas, bro.
Dude, they go at it.
Okay.
They go stand up, ground and pound. One time, the older bear gets a back mount.
And I'm seeing the back mount, and he's just biting the shit out of him. And the first bear is just trying to calmly walk away, and the other bear's just hanging onto his back with his teeth.
He's got to roll. Isn't it interesting though how like genetically it's just passed on how to fight? Like they don't train. You know what I mean? Like they just know how to fight. Like if humans don't come out the womb knowing how to fight, we're actually one of the weakest species physically. And it's like they just got it. They just born with it. They woke up like that.
But also,
humans don't have that dog in them. If you look at a baby, I think in humans, I'm trying to think if there's another animal out there that needs so much time, like being taken care of, being, helpless and needing like a full-time assistant to get around. Because I think most animals, a lot of them, they're just ready to go. Like birds, they have to learn how to fly. Yeah. Birds. But you see a horse.
Horses walk.
But they moms be like, it is what it is. Go. If you die if you don't fly. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Sea turtles.
You see a horse.
Sea turtles got to come back to the crib. You know what I mean? They born outside, but they got to come back. Like, good luck.
You see a horse get born, that thing falls out and starts running around. It's crazy. Yeah. Maybe we need to be harder on babies.
No, but
I'm okay with that.
The evolutionary advantage is because we're so helpless, our brains are kind of at a more infantile state as well, which is a better learning state. So we are better learners throughout our life. And that's why we're able to learn so much more.
You made that up.
No, I read it somewhere. I can't exactly. I think I read it in Sapiens.
So babies, I've read that book a long time ago. I don't remember that part. But babies they give their brain. Well, I mean, what?
Because
that doesn't make any sense.
Because the brains in the baby comes out half baked as opposed to like earlier ape species that came out like being able to climb around.
Could be right, but I don't.
But because they're half baked, their brains still like forming and learning like faster.
Let's unpack this a little bit. Do you think that babies, because they're nurtured and as a child you grew up receiving so much love from people under a lot of circumstances, that you then become more empathetic, and that's why other animals don't have that? They've got more of that killer instinct because they weren't shown love when they were growing up.
Animals love though. Elephants love.
I think elephants are one of the longest ones that stay with their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where are the parents in the animal community? We should start asking them that question.
No, I need to come in later.
Where are the fathers?
Where are the fathers?
That's why sea turtles don't give a shit, and they live their lives in solitude.
But they last the longest. They last like what, 150 years, 20 years?
Yeah, sometimes they last a little bit longer than that. There was a tortoise named Lonesome George, and I was supposed to meet him, and then he died before the day I was going to meet him down in the Galapagos. So it was very sad.
Didn't he fucked his way out of extinction, right?
No, he was the last of his kind. That's what made it so sad. He was like a celebrity tortoise. He was a giant tortoise, and he was the longest living tortoise in the world, and he was the last of his kind, and they couldn't get him to fuck. They tried everything they could, but he wouldn't do it. So he just lived in isolation for his entire life. And then I was going to meet him, and he was like 160 years old or something. And then he died the day before I was going to meet him. That sucked.
That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, it made me feel bad. It was like, what am I, chopped liver?
Yeah, nah, R.I.P. to Lonesome George.
I'm pretty sure he bred a couple hybrids with other island tortoises.
Yeah, I think you might be thinking of different tortoises that were in captivity that they've tried to. There are several different types of tortoises in the Galapagos that they almost all went extinct, and then they started to crossbreed some of them and develop like pretty similar types. Honestly, if you've seen one giant tortoise, you've probably seen them all. The difference is just like, I don't know, like a little corner of their shell or something that's slightly different.
Yeah, Lonesome George mating attempts had been unsuccessful, but he was an OG. They said that he might have been part of the some of the float. They found him floating in the ocean that Charles Darwin like actually found and captured.
It's a possibility, although the giant tortoises, I don't think they swim much. They're
No,
just
they
those are the
float.
ones that are land based.
No, they would just float to other islands when they
Would
needed
they?
to. Yeah, that's how they spread across all the islands. They'd like hop. They wouldn't really swim that well. They just kind of float with the current and end up somewhere.
Have I told the story of how those tortoises went extinct?
Yeah, people would eat them.
Yeah, they eat them. They just put them upside down on the boat,
That's how.
and then they would
Yeah.
the meat
I don't think
wouldn't
you told that
spoil.
story though. I didn't hear any. I haven't heard.
These giant tortoises, they're massive. They're almost like the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, maybe a little bit smaller than that, but like let's say half the size of a Beetle. And they just walk around like dinosaurs, and they look like dinosaurs. They're super slow, but nobody fucks with them because they got their shell. But all the explorers, when they were going back to Europe, they had to go by sea, and so it would take them forever to get back, and they wanted to have food for the ride back. So they'd capture a bunch of these tortoises and then put them on the boat and flip them upside down. And because they were upside down on the back of their shell, they wouldn't die because they've got this metabolism that's just crazy where they can survive without eating or really doing anything for a long time. So they would stay alive on the journey back, but their meat wouldn't spoil because they were still alive. And so it was just like having like a snack that was going to be ready in 3 months whenever you wanted to eat it. Although there was this live giant tortoise that was on its back the entire time.
And you know, it's
I've never
this.
had tortoise meat before.
You know, it's pretty crazy. One of the reasons they never evolved to be able to turn themselves over is because they would always be in groups, and another one would always flip it over.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I am
Teamwork.
my brother's keeper.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question for you guys because I experienced something. I've been flying back and forth from DC to New York for the last couple of weeks, and I feel like we travel a lot at Barstool. I've traveled a lot over the last like 7 years. I still don't have a TSA pre-check, which is just sheer laziness on my part. But I got clear, and so I got to the airport yesterday, and I realized I left my wallet at home. And so I didn't have ID or anything, but with Clear, you can get in, whatever. But there's not a lot that can surprise me when you're traveling. I was on a plane yesterday coming back to DC, and the flight attendant gets on the loudspeaker as we're still at the gate, and he's like, "You guys need to all turn your cell phones off." And, you know, you hear that spiel. I think they're required to give that speech to you, but nobody turns their cell phones off anymore. Nobody puts their phones in airplane mode anymore on airplane, right?
Wait,
You guys never do it?
Except
I
yeah.
don't do that.
wait, you don't have to put it in airplane mode?
I don't.
You
put
put
mine
your phone in
mode.
airplane mode, Big T?
Only when I fly
Yeah.
international.
Rule follower. Nah,
Wait,
because of
whoa,
roaming.
whoa, whoa. Or do you not have to? I thought they could like tell if you didn't.
No.
no, man.
No.
I
Does it
haven't put
work?
my-
No,
Do
the-
you have like a signal?
No.
No.
When you
don't have
put
to
it in
say it.
airplane mode, you're not connecting to data. You're not connecting to anything. It's just
Right.
like whatever you have stored on your phone. If you have like podcasts,
I know what airplane.
music.
Don't mansplain airplane mode to me. I'm asking, do you have a signal when you're in the
Dude,
air?
I live
No,
my
you
life
don't.
in airplane
No,
mode.
you
so
No, you
then,
don't.
so then, why would you? Why does it
Exactly.
matter?
It
Exactly.
matters if you're traveling over country lines and you get roaming
matter.
fees. That's where it matters. But
Well, I was explaining like
interstate-
this, and this is by a pilot. So like we was actually traveling my junior year. We went to Cal, and I had just had a good game and shit, and so pilots knew who I was. And I was like, "Yo, let me sit up front," like, during the middle of the flight, and he was like, "Yeah, come on." So I'm sitting up front while they flying and shit, and they explaining all these little gadgets to me and shit. And I was like, "Hey, yo, that cell phone thing, like, what's up with that?" I was like, "Does that fuck with y'all radar? Like, what? Like, why do y'all do that?" He said, "That's bullshit." He's like, "They just do that so that people pay attention to the safety regulations." That's what he told me. That's what he told me. I don't know how truthful it, but like, and then like when you go on like team planes, like teams for sports, there are no rules being followed. They don't fucking check TSA. You can bring whatever you want on that bitch. They don't. Well, I take it back. They do run your bags through security, but like it's just so the security's lax. Everybody's seat back. Everybody got phones, tablets, speakers blasting different sections. It's a party. It's a party.
Yeah.
I guess my
I've always
question
wondered about
is,
that.
what is the benefit to not putting it in airplane mode if you don't have a signal anyway?
You can catch a couple stray text messages coming through every now and again.
Yeah.
Well, most
I'm
airlines
talking-
have free texting now anyway.
No, but when you in the air, but it don't turn on until you're a certain height. like the Wi-Fi. So like when you in the air, like when you first taking off, you can still have a signal, but then you lose it, and then probably 2-3 minutes later they turn on the Wi-Fi and you can switch.
Quick question. For
I'll tell you the reason why I stopped using airplane mode was because one time I was on a flight and I sent an email right before I took off, and then I immediately put my phone into airplane mode. I land, I take it out of airplane mode, and I open up my email. For whatever reason, it sent this email, the exact same email, 5 times in a row to this person. So I looked like a psycho. And so I'm like, fuck that. I'm not doing airplane mode anymore.
Quick question for those who fly private. Do you have to go through security?
No, you don't. Not that I've flown private, but you don't.
No, you don't.
So like not even like even if you're flying to another country, I don't know about that. I feel like
I've never flown private over country lines before.
I still don't think so. I think you just have to go through customs still though.
Once you get there.
They probably scan your bag at customs. Mm-hmm. But when you go private, I think every now and again, if the cops wanted to, they could show up and check your shit if they had reason to believe that you might have something on your plane.
Oh, so like Juice WRLD?
Yeah.
So when you're flying from Teterboro to Rough and Rowdy, like you don't get checked for anything?
No, you just show up. It's actually I always used to say like I'm never gonna fly private. Fuck that. I'll fly coach. I'm a coach's son out there. I'll stay in the back with a common I'm a common man, you know. And then I flew private one time because we were flying to this one airport that was super tiny and there was no other option. So I showed up like 15 minutes before the flight. You just walk onto the plane, then you just walk off. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is awesome. I get it.
Can I ask you a question, Billy? Are you going to Rough and Rowdy this week?
No.
Oh, I thought Billy was asking those questions. It sounded like he was trying to figure out how late he could get to the airport tomorrow to go to Rough and Rowdy.
No, Rough and Rowdy makes sense as a business expense to fly so many people private because the way to get there, especially not Charlestown, West Virginia, is so remote and requires literally like 3 flights to get there.
It only makes sense. It only made sense flying private for me if it was like 5 other dudes on there, and like we all split the cost because it's like $20,000 and you gotta pay for all of that shit, like gas, all that shit. And so it's like it doesn't make no sense. Like I could always afford it, but I was like, I'd rather just fly comfortably. And plus, little plane turbulence, bruh. Fuck that shit. Low plane turbulence is different. I'm not with that.
Yeah,
someone died like a month ago.
See, and most
private jet.
I would say most plane crashes. I would say 99% of plane crashes. Don't quote me on that. Are from smaller planes though.
100%. Like,
that's commercial planes just rarely ever fly because they got to go through different regulations and stuff like that. In private planes, you just nah, man, I can't do it. Well, I seen video of this one dude, Lil Duval posted. Lil Duval, he like flies all the time. Lil Duval, he's a comedian, and he flies all the time. And he was posting this one video of a similar plane that he has, and this dude is just flying, and all of a sudden shit just goes haywire, and this dude crashes, and he landed it safely, but it's like that shit would give me a heart attack. I'd die before I hit the ground.
My grandfather was a bush pilot in Alaska. And when I was little, I always wanted to fly planes. I wanted to be a pilot and like fly little planes. And I was obsessed with like Cessnas and all those. So I was talking to my grandfather one day. I was like, I really want to fly a plane one day like you. And he was like, no, you're not allowed to fly planes. Out of the 5 guys I flew with in Alaska, 3 of them died in a plane.
Yeah. Alaska is the most dangerous state by far to fly a plane in.
Yeah.
It's like super, super dangerous. Those guys are insane. Even if you're like a private plane pilot. In Alaska, if you're flying
is it the wind
senators and shit. Yeah, it's a combination of the weather, the terrain. You get like a lot of clouds and shit that cover up some of the mountains. It's a lot of combination of all that sort of thing.
You're also sometimes landing in creeks with like water planes. Like
there's a lot of ice on the runways, a lot of ice on the wings, a lot of just weather variables for the most part, but it's super, super dangerous to fly a plane in Alaska.
There's fucking bears.
Yeah, everybody knows the same stories about bears taking out planes.
You crash a
surprised.
plane into a bear.
The bears have anti-aircraft.
That's why as a country we need to collectively band together and bolster our train systems, because trains are the superior way to travel all day, every day, dog. Trains are just better, dog.
Do you prefer privatized land ownership or comfy train travel? Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
It's not a
Train
one or the
travel.
other, Billy.
I mean, if we can just allow the government to start just taking private land to build these big train systems, I mean, we're
You
giving
actually
up a
can.
lot
It's
of
called
rights.
eminent domain, and I think it's in the Constitution.
I don't
So
think you know who you're talking
Will
to.
it be
either.
a lot?
You're talking to somebody who doesn't like privatization, fam.
I know, but think about it.
I have thought about it.
Like, what if they want to buy your house and put a goddamn railroad through it?
compensate?
what do you
man.
think? What do you think they do with roads all the time?
That
My grandpa got his farm took like that.
That sucks.
I compensated. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's just. I mean, Billy, if you look at all the
You
roads
don't
that get
own-
built and
You don't own
interstates,
shit. I think that's the biggest thing. People think that you don't own shit. You live in America, with America, low key for America. You don't own this shit. They can do whatever they want to do. Soon as you realize that, soon you get over it. You don't own shit. You don't own it. Get over it.
yeah. Fuck.
but think about it, Billy.
I
Think
like
about
to,
all
I
the
like
roads
to
that get
believe
built,
that I own
right?
shit.
You don't own
Yeah,
shit.
believe it. You can believe it.
Just
all
let
you
me
want, but
believe
just
it. Just
at the end of the day,
It's like Santa
if
Claus.
the-
Just let me believe it.
if the government's like, I want to take Billy's barn because I want to build a high speed rail from New York City up to Montreal or whatever, they can take that barn and all the chickens
They gonna do it.
and Whitey.
They
Government can take your dog, Billy.
no, that's fucking.
I wish
terrible.
they would take everybody's dog.
It's fucked.
That'd be sick if we had a dog army.
If,
I'm
you-
with
if your
that.
dog got enlisted
Yeah.
and
Put
drafted,
them on the front line. That'd be
we
lit.
do have a dog army. Chaps had a dog that was in the army and would fight terrorists. Like, that's pretty awesome.
I don't think you have a dog
Don't
army. You
just
have an
say-
army dog.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but they're
just-
all once you put them all together, it's a dog army.
Is Whitey
And they
part
get
of this?
based
How
based
many-
on their like alphaness, they get different ranks in the army, and the privates have to listen to the sergeants and shit.
What would be the best? I don't know enough about breeds. What would be the best? Well, I guess they would serve different purposes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you'd have. I would say like the Belgian Malinois.
Yeah,
I think
of course.
Chaps had one of those. That would probably be like the general because they're the smartest, but they're also crazy. They're a
no,
little
I feel
nuts.
like they're like the foot's like they're the Navy SEAls. They're the tip
Yeah,
of the spear.
yeah.
They're so scary.
Yeah, they're probably.
What's
probably
the
SEALs.
wisest dog? That like
Based on vibes,
I don't know.
like bulldog.
yeah, like Winston
Bulldog gives
Churchill.
off-
Winston Churchill, English bulldog.
But they're not. I don't think they're actually that smart. They just
No,
they look smart when you dress them up. And
When it comes to
bloodhound,
war.
bloodhound,
Bloodhound.
yeah,
bloodhound.
bloodhound.
I was gonna say a hound of some sort.
Like a
Bloodhound,
Great
yeah, for
Dane. I
sure.
feel like a Great Dane
Oh,
is like
that's a good one.
General Patton.
Yeah.
I don't know about
They're
that.
not super smart. I guess they're like average
They're
intelligence.
way too inbred. That they're just dumb.
Yeah. Just a bunch of mutts. Just send mutts out.
Those are the Marines.
Yeah.
You just call our Marines mutts, Billy?
No, but like
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Thought
no,
you
but
were a
they
pro-military
would
guy.
they would
Wow.
understand what I'm saying.
They know their mutts. Is what you
I
said?
mean, they call themselves. It's. I don't think I'm allowed to call them this, but they commonly refer to themselves as crayon eaters.
Stolen valor.
crayon.
You just use
eaters.
the C word.
I think I just if I
It's
They
okay. Billy
refer to
knows a lot of people in the
themselves
military.
as that?
yeah
What is the?
I think other people.
why? I'm legitimately fucked up by that. Why do they call themselves crayon? eaters?
it's like when they're in kindergarten they were eating crayons, so they enlisted them in the Marines. but they
There's
call
no
them.
way they call themselves. They call themselves that.
It's like it's a term of endearment. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote.
Marines eat crayons is a catchphrase used in jokes to mock the intelligence of United States Marine Corps members who are sometimes called crayon eaters by other branches of the military.
Should we ask Kate if that's?
But
an
like they
endearing
like
term?
they took it on as like, yeah, we're crayon eaters, haha.
They've reclaimed the C word.
Yeah, they reclaimed
Yeah.
it,
So
yeah.
wait, but Billy, you can't use it with a hard R at the end.
Crayon eat us.
Oh, that made it worse.
I'm going. I might. Should I FaceTime Chaps?
Yes.
Or,
See if
he
Billy's
a-
allowed
or
to use
get
it.
Yes.
Kate.
Is he a Marine?
Yeah, Kate.
No,
on
Kate's
the
a
yak
Marine.
right now, isn't she?
No, I
Wasn't
think they're
Chaps
done.
Army?
Kate
No,
was Marine,
Oh, Chaps was in the
Chaps
Marines.
is a Marine.
and so was Chaps.
Oh yeah.
Call Chaps.
Yeah. I'll call Chaps.
That's actually wild.
Let's see if Billy's allowed to say this.
I've never heard it. Like,
I've heard of it, but it's always been derogatory.
I've never heard of that shit.
No, I'm pretty sure they reclaimed it. Like, yeah, we're the like roughest bunch. Like everyone
Well,
else.
they might
is.
have, but I don't know if you can say that.
I don't think I can say it at all.
You did several times. Hey, Chaps. Hey, you're on macrodosing right now. Billy Football was just talking about. We were talking about dogs and different ranks that they'd have in the Marines and in the military. And Billy referred to the Marines as being crayon eaters. And I didn't know if Billy was allowed to say that, or if that was just something that Marines said to, or if that was something that other people said about Marines to make fun of them.
Yeah, that's stolen valor from Billy once again. He can't say it. It's something that we say about each other. And two, he has no idea what we're talking about. Dogs don't have ranks.
Dogs don't have ranks. But we were saying, like, if they made an army out of dogs, if there was a dog army, what ranks
Would
different breeds would have?
What rank would the dogs have?
Like,
Yeah, like,
which
so,
breeds for what?
For example, which breed would be in which role?
Oh, okay. So, general, I'd go Cane Corso because they're just big and powerful and strong. I think for a sergeant major, you would have a Great Dane because they're scary too. They're big, but they would take care of the troops ultimately. I think infantry would be Belgian Malinois because they'll just go in and wreck shit. You would need a forwarded Zerber, one of the smartest dogs and also very fast, underrated. Dalmatians are very smart. And probably for a sniper, I would pick like
sight
a
hound.
Dotson because they can go into many environments. They're brown and they would go in undetected.
I love that. I love the idea of a tiny little sniper dachshund. Also, you look very handsome, Chaps.
Thank you. Well, I love wearing lavender.
Yeah. You look nice. Good haircut, too.
Oh, thanks. I got to shave it actually again. I'm going to try in my shower for the first time, so it's going to be a crazy afternoon over here.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chaps. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
PFT, real quick, can you say the word again that's the thing that you color with?
Crayon.
Ha!
Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
You pronounce shit funny. Ha! Gotcha.
How do you say it?
It's
Crayon.
Some people say
I say
crayon.
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 It's a 2-syllable word.
Crayon.
Anyway, I just wanted to.
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there. But
Gotcha.
Back to
Bad
back to the
pronunciation,
start.
boy.
Back to the start of the entire discussion. Airplane mode.
Special.
So
Oh,
I
yeah,
put my
sorry.
phone
We totally
into
just-
airplane mode, right?
Yeah.
we really took a hard turn there.
Well, I actually didn't put my plane into airplane mode, but the person was very direct about it, saying you have to put your phone into airplane mode or turn it off. He actually said, please turn your phones off. And I just kind of ignored it because I've heard the spiel before. 5-10 minutes passes. We're still at the gate, getting ready to back out. And he gets back on the speaker. He goes, I'm being very serious. You have to turn your phones off. I need to see everybody on this plane turn the power off on their phones. You can't be using your phone until after we take off. I'll let you know when it's safe to do that. So I turned my phone off and I'm like, this guy's not fucking around.
Boy,
And
scared
then-
shit out of you.
Yeah, he did. He did. In fact, the dude that was sitting across the aisle from me, he didn't turn his phone off. And I was about to raise my hand and be like, teacher,
Don't do that. Don't do that.
this guy's on Tinder right now. He set his search radius to 10 yards and he's just hitting sup to everybody on the plane. No, I didn't do that, but I thought about it. And then the flight attendant comes around and the flight attendant's like, you have to turn your phone off, and just straight up tells the dude. And the guy's like, oh, okay. And then we take off and he's like, okay, you can turn your phones back on. That flight attendant completely alphaed the shit out of everybody on that plane. I don't know why. I've never had that happen before, but I was scared that something bad was. I was scared that the plane was going to blow up if I didn't turn my phone
that would have
on.
made me concerned for being on that plane if like having your phones on was going to cause something. If it's that tenuous that there's some sort of signal or something that's going to fuck the plane up.
If whether or not we all live or die is based on the honor system of 73 other people, we're fucked.
Yeah, you did. But see, this is my advice to people with the little bit of authority that whatever establishment gives you. If you gonna be a dick about your, let people know why, so that they're not left in the dark, so that they're less likely to buck the system. Cats like that with the kids, you know what I'm saying, in high school who were monitoring halls and saying, "Where's your hall pass?" You know what I'm saying? It's the little tattle-telling ass niggas that finally got some power and they use that shit to their advantage. If you just on a plane, you be like, "Yo, listen, I need everybody to turn their phones off. We're experiencing blah 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 blah. So I know it's out of the norm, but please do, you know, say please." I'm sure nobody would have a problem, but it's just that little fake authority. I buck the system by just naturally. Like I just do that. Like it just is what it is. And so it's like you gonna catch me on a bad day, and now I'm gonna get thrown off the plane. You know what I mean?
Billy clearly has something he wants to say, and he like looked at me weird. I don't know what it is.
But you understand that this is. Never mind.
No, go ahead, bro.
That was the whole concept behind like the snitching and vaccine cards and.
I see now.
Yeah, now he did that. And like
link that for me, bro. Link that for me, bro.
You all need to get vaccinated, or we're all gonna die. Okay, we can move on.
No. It's just like, what the fuck does that have to do? But this time it wasn't. With people on airplanes turning off their phones, family. What the fuck is he talking about?
Ideology.
It is not the same.
Conforming
me turning off
to
my
an authoritarian and you just not questioning it and turning off your phone, even though we all know that.
So fuck vaccines altogether.
No, not maybe just a new one.
That's why this is the apples and oranges argument, my guy. If me turning my phone on is contagious, then yes, you would have a point. But it's not. And so you don't have a point.
It is contagious because if you don't, the plane crashes, then you killed everyone else with
not
the
true.
phone. That was
also not true.
Look, let's just move on. We can even cut that part.
Let's move on. No, let's not cut that part. I want to see you be stuck on this vaccine shit.
I'm not. I just can't believe that everyone got away with that.
Got away with what? Vaccinating people with a disease? What are you talking about?
Just the hypocrisy. I'm not more.
There's no.
Definitely, there was people who the risk was worth the benefit of getting vaccinated. Not denying that, but more like the whole. Everyone has to wear masks.
How about this?
Everyone has to shut down everything.
How about this?
Can't go outside.
Me and you will do an extra dose, and we will have a debate on vaccination, what is done, subsequently and before, all of that shit. How about that?
Okay.
Just not so you never bring that dumb shit up again.
Okay, but it's just the idea of the snitching
cool.
and but everything you're talking about is something
not the same. It's not the same thing, bro. Because do you agree or do you not agree that older people were at risk?
Yes, I do agree.
Because of the disease. So we agree there.
Yes.
So do you agree that it was plausible to have people get vaccinated to protect a certain demographic that were more likely than not?
The thing is,
answer the question, yes or no question.
Right, but if that was
agree it was plausible or agree it was not plausible.
Look, if those older people were to get vaccinated to ensure they didn't get the disease, I 100% agree with you. But that wasn't the reality.
That's not how vaccines work.
That's how they're supposed to work. If you get the rabies vaccine, if you get the rabies vaccine, you're not supposed to get rabies. If you get
rabies is not COVID.
If you get a tetanus shot, you're not supposed to get tetanus.
Rabies, these are different diseases. That's like saying a cold is like a flu. A flu is like HIV. HIV is like herpes. They're in the same category of viruses, but they're not the same viruses, so they react differently. That's silly as fuck.
Okay, we can move on.
Let's move on.
All right, we're gonna do an extra dosing, and then you guys are gonna get it out of your systems, flush everything out, mano a mano. Next time Arian's in person, we'll set that up, and that way people can opt in to this discussion.
That's true.
And then you can't complain that another vaccine debate snuck up on me on macrodosing, because guess what, you
signed up for
in to the extra dose. Yeah, you signed up for it. And I'm making it mandatory. Everybody has to present verification of them listening to the vaccine discussion in order to listen to any other macrodosings ever. You've got your vaccine passport.
It's not even about it's not specifically. Then I'll never mention again. I'll never mention again.
After this debate, I don't want to hear shit about these goofy little comments.
But it's just the authoritarianism that you guys are like, we're against that. We're rebellious. But like like how conformity, like it's, we don't have to talk about it.
I also think that roads are good for people, Billy. I think roads are absolutely good for human beings. I conform to the fact that the government will build roads on land. Like, there are things that outweigh my own personal rights. Just like,
why do you wear a shirt every day, Billy? That's weird. Like,
also,
you're wearing a shirt because people tell you that you have to wear a shirt.
Cigarettes. So I believe that people should be able to smoke the lungs until they get every kind of cancer they want. Do your thing. But I also believe you shouldn't have to subject me to your possible cancer in a public place. You want to do it in private?
It's not specifically. Look, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just think that a lot of the authoritarian stuff. Look, I was all vaccinated, but those, if you can't understand that, we're not going to do this now.
Draw the line to me.
It's
between
a different
authoritarianism and government regulation. Do you believe that there's no difference? It's just if a government regulates anything, that's authoritarianism.
There is a line.
Where is it?
Forcing a whole entire population to do something without much of a choice.
Nobody was forced to.
There was zero forcing.
Okay, so moving on. I actually don't want, like, I'm trying not to talk about this, and it's gonna make my points aren't gonna get across because I'm trying to move on.
Extra dose.
Yeah, we'll do it.
All right. Where were we?
Talking about planes.
Yeah.
How you almost like took influence from the authoritarian figure to snitch on your person who you didn't even know how to turn his phone off.
I almost did, yeah, but I didn't do it. That's what the important part is. And we landed safely, but I've never been told like straight up, turn your phones off. I think that dude was just on a power trip. I like to think that United Airlines wasn't flying a plane that could have been brought down if like one person had their phone on.
No. Why do you think you did it? You just a power trip?
I think it was just a power trip, but I can't be sure. Hopefully, you know what? I think I'm on that same flight back on Thursday. So I hope I get the same attendant and I'll ask him, hey, why do you care so much about my phone? Maybe he just doesn't like phones.
This is what you should do. Get really cool with one of the flight attendants, like on the way there. Like, you should, casual conversation, and by the end of the flight, y'all should be pretty good friends. They'll be like, hey, yo, what's up with this? And then they give you the inside scoop because they trust you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, smart. I think I might do that.
Yeah.
One of the best parts about getting like the worst like seat on the plane in the way back, like the last seat that you can't recline, is you can start chatting up the flight attendants, and then they always give you free drinks if you really play your cards right.
Yeah, there used to be a nice hack that you could do on an airplane, which was if you paid for it using a credit card, they didn't have the technology to run the authorization while you were in the air, so they would have to run all the numbers that they put on their machine right when you landed. So you could give them an expired credit card. Then you land, and by the time they run all that shit, you're already off the plane.
Yo,
that's a move.
Yeah, I don't know if it's all been changed. Maybe some airlines have, some haven't, but you could get away with it for a while.
I saw this video of a whole bunch of life hacks like that, just like that. Like it was a dude like putting up a wall, and it was just like 30 life hacks like that. And so one of them was like you buy like. Go to a relatively, a good game, but not like a sold out game, obviously. But you buy like the cheapest seat you could buy, and then when you get in the stadium, when you're there, they drop the ticket prices and then go buy the seat and just move seats.
Yeah,
got a whole bunch of shits like that. Yeah,
I used to do that at Wizards games sometimes, but I would get in with my friends into the upper deck, and then we would look down into the lower bowl at halftime, or like in the first half, and see what seats were not occupied. And then we'd go slide into those for the second half. We did that in a playoff game. It was against the Heat. If I were to guess, it was like 2007, something around there. And so me and my buddies went to this game, and we saw these 3 seats that were wide open, like center court, maybe 10 rows up. And so we're like, okay, second half, we're going to go down there. We're going to get into those seats. Now, it's like if you've ever been to an NBA game in like the lower level, for the most part in DC, at least when they used to play playoff games, it's a fairly buttoned up crowd. A lot of polo shirts tucked into khakis, cell phones clipped onto the belt, that sort of thing. And me and my buddies had Wiz painted across our chests, and we were shirtless and we were hammered. We had slugged a bunch of Steel Reserve on the subway on the way into the game. And so we like make our way down to these nice seats, and we're sat around all these crazy like Washington DC insiders. I think we're like one row up from Wolf Blitzer. He was behind us, and we're like sliding in front of him, trying to make, not so much of a scene out of ourselves. And we were asked to leave. They figured us out that we weren't supposed to be there, but it's a pretty good thing that you can still do at some points, where you can just be like, okay, those 2 seats behind the dugout at a baseball game, I can just, if I walk confidently enough back to those seats at a point where like it's a 7th inning stretch and there's a lot of people going back to their seats, you can just slide in. They won't check your tickets.
I'm not saying I've done this, but we do work with people here who are professional Photoshop people. And it's quite easy to, right before you leave, this works best for regular season baseball games. It would be possible for you to maybe look on not a secondary website, but on the primary website that the team uses to sell their tickets, see what tickets are unsold, buy the cheapest one in the stadium, and then Photoshop that one to say the unsold tickets that are right behind the dugout. And then even if they do check your ticket says that it's that one. Again, I've never done that, but it would be a plausible option if that was available to you.
But unfortunately, sometimes the cheap tickets don't have the same formatting as the very expensive tickets. Like at Yankee Stadium,
yeah, they do.
Yankee Stadium Legends seats and Legends tickets, which are like some of the best tickets, have
okay.
Like
those they
whole
actually
hologram.
scan. That's different.
Yeah.
Yes, you're not getting into the $1,000 tickets at Yankee Stadium that they scan to make sure you have them.
Even the ones behind home plate, the exact tickets you described are those tickets
In the first 3 rows.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, then
the
behind
4th
that-
row
okay,
is
yeah.
not.
Yeah. But that's a good hypothetical situation, Big T.
Right.
And hypothetically, I think that would probably work a lot.
It could. I wouldn't know, but.
All right, Big T, you have a very special teed off. What are you teed off about?
Well, so I guess this will just lead into what I think was supposed to be our main topic today. So Billy had us all watch this documentary. Was it Point of Contact, Making Contact? Whatever it was called, something Contact.
I don't even know if you guys watched the right documentary.
Oh, we
You
did.
sent it to us.
I know,
did.
but we're
You can respond.
Okay,
You can
okay.
respond. Arian and I and Madeline and Mackenzie, everyone except you before you hopped on, we discussed our viewing experience of this documentary. First of all, it cost $5, which I can afford $5. It was the principle. So then I start watching it, and it's just, the Rock meme, it's the biggest piece of dog shit. This was the worst thing I've ever watched. It's 2 hours of just these guys running around Brazil. Like at one point, they're just in an open field, and the guys here, it happened here, and
where
it's just
the UFO crashed.
that's what they tell you. There's no evidence for anything whatsoever.
You see the picture?
I kind of agree.
The picture with the little spacecraft in the background that's black and white.
That's
That's
just a balloon.
Well, I was fucking
Dude.
out. I was like, I can't watch this.
Let's reset this here. So we'll make sure to set it up right,
So-
and we'll give the correct introduction to it. So Billy suggested that we watch a documentary about an alien encounter in Brazil. It took place in 1996, I
Yeah.
believe. It's called Moment of Contact. And Big T's right. It's available to rent on Amazon for $4.99. I think
not.
Billy should refund us.
What?
I think
Yeah.
Billy should
Down with
Yeah,
that.
you know what?
I like that idea.
Yeah. Everybody.
Okay, I'll give you the fucking money. I'll give you the fucking money. I
So-
thoroughly enjoyed it. It was you guys are
Bet.
unintellectual if you don't think that was interesting.
It was just boring.
No, you're
What, you
unintellectual
don't
if you think it was interesting.
Aliens crash land in Brazil, and there's
What evidence
definite-
is there for that?
the literal all the eyewitness accounts and literally the whole town, the mayor of the town was like, yeah, dude, this shit happened. The military was here.
Oh,
literally,
eyewitness account is the least credible form of evidence that exists.
I know, but guess what? The newsreels of the military reporting on why they were there. Okay, you guys don't think the military was there?
I'm not
They
saying
probably
that.
were.
What the fuck do you think
It was
they
just
were
kind
doing
of
there?
boring. It was just a
That
boring
aliens
documentary.
exist?
It was
is
just like
boring?
every other
Bruh,
documentary about aliens that's
wasn't-
ever existed. I was
it
more
wasn't
entertained by Zah's podcast episode. You can go watch that on our YouTube.
I was just as skeptical, but the shit that threw me was all the kids saying that there was an actual alien and they drew pictures of it. I'm like, come on, dog.
And the fact
Come
that
on.
all of them had a consistent description of the alien they all saw with red eyes, 3 toes, and the fact that a Brazilian army officer died and that the place that they brought the alien had to be demolished, the hospital had to be demolished because the stench of ammonia and sulfur was so strong. The fact that there's records of that guy dying and they held up his picture and they're like, he died after he caught the alien because he got some sort of infection. The doctor that he went to when he was dying,
What kind of infection?
he had they didn't give the autopsy after he died. They said a general infection because they couldn't describe what was happening. The radiologist that came forward and said, yeah, they made me scan an alien body and then didn't let me develop the film and they took it away. You don't believe any of that? And a guy died.
No.
So this is definite stuff that happened. A guy died and that guy was Brazilian military, which means the Brazilian military was there. There was also the Brazilian general reported that the Brazilian army was there. The hospital was torn down directly after the alien was supposedly brought there because they thought the whole place was contaminated. Basically, those are 4 things that definitely happened.
Why do you do 4 like that?
Like this?
Yeah.
Well, because I started like this.
It's German.
I started like this.
I don't think I've ever seen that shit.
I would have, but I was counting thumb. Okay,
That's cool, man.
but you're just using
All right,
that to
so
base
Billy,
the facts that I just threw
when
at
it
your
comes
face.
to the
But that
Brazilian
didn't interest you?
military, the Brazilian military, that there was a maintenance site nearby where they would park their maintenance vehicles, or where they would park their vehicles to do maintenance on them on a regular basis.
Right, that was ESA. Like they were talking about. Also, that there's definite flight
so
logs.
that's real.
Then there's flight logs of the U.S. military flying in to the airbase that the air traffic controller then repeated and showed us.
Also, the aliens that they allegedly saw in the hospital, those were 2 people with dwarfism, and they were having a child.
What are you
And
talking
So people
about?
at the hospital got confused. It has been called the most compelling example of a case where literally nothing at all happened that was remotely unusual and was magnified into a case considered unassailable proof of alien visitation by many.
Are you
To
reading
those
this off
believers,
Wikipedia?
I would suggest recalibrating where you set the bar for quality of evidence. Don't you
Are you reading
come at me for
Wikipedia?
reading something off Wikipedia.
I
reading
googled
Wikipedia.
reviews. I googled reviews of this film. Everyone was profoundly negative.
It's a bad movie. You can say what you want about the actual encounter. If there's an interesting story to be told about the encounter, this did a phenomenally bad job of it. It was like, we're going to go to Brazil and then I don't think they had a plan. Their plan was to just like land in Brazil.
Yeah, because they're trying
and then,
to find the
and then travel around.
because it wasn't scripted. They
Come to
were
Brazil.
investigating the whole thing.
I got about 40 minutes in and clicked pause to see how much longer there was, thinking I was near the end, and saw that there was another hour 20, and it was the most flabbergasted I'd been in quite some time. It was 40 minutes of sheer nothingness.
Yeah, they didn't really come up with anything, Billy. Also, this was leads to maybe an interesting discussion.
You guys
here.
just fall.
Because when you talk
was
about
the
the 3
official
toes that they have on the
explanation.
aliens, why do you think it is? Why would an alien develop toes on like a different planet? Why would they?
They did
because
because
whenever
they
you
actually
see-
didn't have toes. They don't even know what it was.
You said 3 toes earlier.
That was just a description of the footprint. It might have not been a toe.
The descriptions could have
Okay.
been inaccurate.
What's crazy is I wanted to bring Zal in. The descriptions
way.
give are.
Wait, Billy, you didn't even.
I think you should
address
Big T's point.
The eyewitness accounts could have been misrepresented and inaccurate. Is that what you said?
No, you said. Is that what you're supposed to be saying?
What?
No.
What was the question?
You said there was 3 toes. And you said, I don't know. That's just what they said.
No, I don't even know if you would call them toes. It was just sort of some protrusion from their,
from their foot,
which we
can call those toes.
They could have been tentacles. I don't know. It could have been 3 tentacles poking out of the foot. I don't know if they evolved toes.
Hell yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? Like in instances where you see aliens in movies, they always look kind of like humans. Now they don't really resemble humans. They don't have our same facial features and skin, things like that. But aliens are always based off of the same principle as humans are, which is they've got feet usually, they got legs, they have a torso, they've got a big head with 2 eyes most of the time. They have a mouth right underneath those 2 eyes. And so all this is like a product of human evolution that's taken place on Earth, a unique environment over the last millions of years.
Well,
ever since life began to form. So I'm just curious why we would assume that aliens would look like humans if they evolved on a planet that might be like hundreds of millions of light years away.
I don't think they're actually from other planets. I think they're actually from Earth.
Okay.
So it could very possibly be something that evolved on Earth and has survived various extinction events by living underground or under the sea in our super advanced civilization. But that
and they have a flying craft?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
go on.
Yeah, see that makes more sense than I think the depictions of aliens in movies that just evolved to pretty much be humans except with a silver suit.
Right. But what I'm
from
saying,
a different galaxy.
But you understand that the official account was that nothing happened here. Did you hear what the general said about why they were there? Did you guys get this far in the movie when they go back to the 1996 press conference and they were grilling the general, sir, what were you doing there that night? And he goes, serving this nation and country. And there's can you give any sort of explanation? Was it a training exercise? What was happening? And he just goes, I don't have to explain anything to anybody. We're doing what was best for the nation and the world, basically.
Yeah. Do you think if an entire town was like, hey, there were aliens here, that maybe the military would show up whether it was true or not?
But you understand that the military showed up because something must have happened?
No. The military showed up because people seemed to think that something happened.
No, 7 days before there was a crash. Did you guys see the guy crying in the field? Because he was one of the only people to see the crash site, and then he literally got carried away.
That nobody has any evidence happened?
Aki.
Yeah. Yeah, because he was so moved by him being back there for the first time in 26 years because he was threatened by the people there to never...
Where is any debris from the crash?
They took it.
Who took it?
The U.S. military.
The U.S. military was there immediately?
That's what the flight logs say.
Do you think this movie did a good job? If someone was skeptical of these events, do you think this movie did a good job of persuading people that...
Yeah, you're unintellectual if you think not.
Well, there's various things that are definite fact that happened that don't explain what happened there that night.
Wait, there are definite facts that don't explain?
So there's a dead guy. There's a demolished building. There is definite military presence the night of the crash. There's also logs of U.S. Airplanes landing in a close by airbase.
So your argument is not that absence of evidence is evidence of absence. It's that absence of evidence is evidence of non-absence, which is an even bigger leap.
I'm just saying something definitely happened, and the fact that you guys think the whole thing in a whole is totally fake, then
it's not even that. I do think that, but the movie was just so terrible.
I was gonna say I don't even think it's not that
it was
it's fake.
So
it was just
awful.
so fucking boring, dude.
It's a bad movie, and I'm not saying nothing happened. I'm saying what they claim happened didn't happen. There was no extraterrestrial that flew and crashed, and there has been zero evidence globally for any kind of unidentified flying object from another planet that has come here. There's zero evidence.
So I wanted to get into this discussion. I got too caught up in trying to defend this documentary. Something happened. I more want to talk about the event. Something happened. I kind of think it may have been a U.S. like craft that crashed, and that's why
so you just said it was aliens.
No, I said it. No, but like something happened. It could have been an alien, a UFO crashed, and there may have, like, the beings thing is more skeptical. I wanted to get into a rational discussion about this, but you guys were just shitting on the documentary, and I was just like, don't you think it's interesting that something happened there?
My theory is that it was a broken arrow incident, because those are treated in a lot of the same ways, where if there's a nuclear weapon that goes either missing or like some sort of accident that happens with a craft that has a nuclear weapon on it, the government reacts in a very similar way to what they did here.
Where
you have to like excavate it, and there could be radiation contamination, and the whole place gets shut down, and then they can't talk about it because they can't give away any nuclear secrets, and that's all very tight-lipped for dozens, sometimes like decades and decades until it gets declassified.
Now
this is the discussion I wanted to have that the documentary would prompt.
Yeah.
Well, then why did you immediately? Well, no, because you immediately said it was aliens, and that you're.
But by aliens, I meant like something that.
No.
UFO and alien. I'm not saying other. I just explained that I think that whatever's driving the UFOs comes from this Earth, be it a civilization that lives like in the middle of the Earth. I don't think it's from another planet. I explained that. In that alien term gets wrapped up in it. I'm more just talking about the craft. Like something definitely crashed. If it was a U.S. Like a U.S. Like a Blackbird. I don't know if the Blackbird bomber, the stealth bomber, was common knowledge in 1996.
You're talking about the B-2, the B-2 bomber, and the Blackbird.
Yeah,
those definitely existed back then. Those are two different airplanes, though.
Right, but you understand those types of airplanes are super stealthy, and a lot of early UFO sightings kind of sound like a stealth bomber because those triangular lights. So if something like that crashed in Brazil,
and it had a nuclear weapon on board, and then there's radiation poisoning, and then maybe somebody dies, like in Chernobyl, that first firefighter, or a bunch of those guys get radiation, their skin starts melting off, they look weird, they get taken to a hospital, somebody in the hospital is like, oh shit, this might be an alien, but it's just somebody whose body is consuming itself. Yeah. And then you can't talk about it for a long time. We should actually do a full episode on macrodosing on different broken arrow incidents that have happened, because they're fascinating. There's still a nuke, I think, that's buried underneath a swampland in North Carolina somewhere from a crash that happened, I want to say in like the 60s or 70s. But that's my theory on what happened. But this documentary was ass.
Yeah, I mean,
it was bad. It was a miss. It happens.
All I wanted was to just have the documentary, like, start a nice like a cool conversation where we talked about like what could it really have been, like we just did. But instead, we're just gonna shit on the documentary
because it was so bad.
Okay, well, it was better. It was better for you guys to process all the information than me just sending you a Wikipedia article.
So, Billy, what do you think happened there?
My original thought process was maybe a U.S. craft crashing, and that's why the U.S. came and landed on the base. Like, that's the reasonable explanation. The people talking about alien life forms running around after the incident, I mean, the guy dying who apparently caught the alien that was crossing the road, radiation could have killed him, an unknown infection. That does sound more plausible. But I just wanted to get that type of conversation going.
Well, 10 minutes ago, you said, why don't y'all believe these people about what happened? Now you're saying you don't believe them.
Well, I'm just saying you don't believe them that they saw something, that something happened. From the sounds of it, you said this whole thing's bullshit. Nothing happened there.
Nope, never said that. You just completely made that up. Why?
I didn't make that up. You said you think the documentary was shit. You think the whole thing was bullshit. Did you not say that in the beginning of this conversation?
No, I think it wasn't aliens. I think it was probably a fucking balloon or something, or like PFT said, it could have been a nuclear weapon, whatever.
That's also what I agree with.
But you said earlier, why don't you believe these people? And then you just said that the guys who say they saw aliens and shit, you don't believe them.
Well, I think that was the weakest part of the documentary.
So you believe them partly?
I believe they definitely saw something.
But not what they say they saw.
So there's other explanations, and there's other explanations that they saw a deformed man, and that may have been the alien, like a homeless person, and that may have been the reason that those girls saw what they saw. I can't explain the army guys saying that they saw a little man in a box with 3 toes. I can't. I don't understand why the radiologist who said he worked in the hospital that got demolished had to scan an alien in a body bag. I don't like. I'll take their. I don't know if their word's good, but I do believe something definitely happened in Varinja, which I think we're all pronouncing wrong.
Virginia?
Varjan, January 13th, 1996, which is also my birthday.
All right. Well, we've established that Billy's documentary was thought-provoking in certain ways, it was also ass. I give it 4 S's on the ass.
I just don't see how you guys can watch something like that and say like this has 0 redeeming value.
3.5 ass cheeks.
That makes me that just makes me pissed off for some reason. I'm sorry.
Wait, Arian, 3 asses or 3 ass cheeks?
3.5 ass cheeks.
Okay, so that's
1 and
3/4 asses,
full asses.
Yeah. That's what I rated. 5
Okay.
Well,
five asses. It's a slap. That's a banger. You know what I mean?
5 ass cheeks or 5 asses. Full.
Slap. I just explained it.
Full ass. Okay, so it's
what's
Full.
So it's 3.5 out of 10.
No.
Yeah,
Great math.
what's the worst movie you guys have ever seen?
Okay.
Oh.
It's the worst movie I've seen acting wise, but I fucking love it. And it's The Last Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think I might have mentioned on this podcast before, but the acting is so bad. I don't know why they went forward with it, because it's just that bad. It's like, you ever get like secondhand embarrassment from something? Like watching this, it's like, God, it's so dog shit. But the graphics and the storyline is really dope because it comes from an anime-ish The Last Airbender episode series. And so the storyline is dope. And there's one actor in it who's a real actor who's really good, which is the Fire Lord guy, the
Zuko?
the main guy. I don't remember his name, but he's like the main dude, like the overseer, not the son, but the main dude. He's actually a good actor. He's been in many things actually. But the rest of the cast is just holy shit. It's, oh my God, the worst shit I've ever seen in my life. Horrible.
I haven't seen it, but for you to say that an Avatar movie is full ass, I believe you.
It's not Avatar.
In that same vein,
It's Last Airbender. It's different.
Isn't it called Avatar: The Last Airbender?
It's Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's just separate. It's from the anime series a long time ago.
at the point,
Arrow.
It's about a kid who's like, everybody has different elements that they bend. Like there's water benders, there's fire benders, air benders, and there's one kid who's like an air. What do they call? They call him the Avatar, and he can manipulate all the elements, and so he's like special and whatever. It's an entirely different thing than, Jake Sully, who got trapped on Pandora, who is
Got it. It's not canon. It's not part of the Avatar lore.
No.
What about you, Big T? What's the worst movie you've ever seen?
I'm suffering from recency bias, but it might be that documentary. Because here's the thing, because y'all know this about me, right? Like, I don't go do things that I don't want to do. So I don't see movies that I think I might not like. Like almost every movie I've ever seen, I've been like, I really like that.
You do your research on it,
with very few exceptions. So like it's exceedingly rare that I watch a movie I don't like. I went and saw I didn't even really hate that movie. What was it called? It was called Spencer, the Princess Diana movie.
Yeah.
I saw that with my girlfriend, and even that I didn't hate that movie. I do dislike what's her name? Kristen Stewart. I don't like her. She just has a weird mannerisms and I don't like it. But I mean, this one's up there. Top 5, no question.
I was going to say The Lobster with Colin Farrell. That movie sucked.
I haven't seen that one.
It's bad. And now part of that might have also been I was watching it when I was coming back from Hong Kong after being on MDMA for like a day and a half at the rugby tournament. And I was extremely dehydrated on an 18-hour plane ride. And so fading in and out of consciousness, watching that movie, that was hell. I thought I was in hell.
I ain't seen that one.
It sucks. What about you, Billy?
It was more of a letdown because the book was so good, but Congo by Michael C. Crichton, the book, the film adaptation sucked.
I didn't hate it.
Oh, you seen it?
Yeah, that's surprising to me, Billy.
Congo, yeah, I didn't hate it.
The movie was just so much worse than the book.
It's also you were really young when it came out too, and so like you probably saw it when you was a little older.
Yeah,
like,
I saw it yeah.
Yeah, you probably saw it, and so like and if you dig back into our catalog as a human species of movies, most movies suck actually back like in the 80s, 70s, even early 90s. Like when you double back and watch it, there's nostalgia there. A lot of those movies were shit though, just bad.
Yeah, especially the special effects in Congo, which at the time you're like, oh shit, this is incredible. But you watch it now, the lasers like cutting a gorilla's arm off, and you're like, you have to understand that when I was like 11 years old watching that, I was freaking out. Yeah, it was so good. We were like standing up in the theater and being like, just yelling at it.
See, this is a hot take. I think I said this too, but like I tried so hard to watch the Star Wars series. I tried like you wouldn't believe, dog, because I think there was like a weekend where I was like, I'm just gonna catch up on all the old classics. The first one I watched was The Matrix. I sat down, I smoked, saw The Matrix, fucking them. I was like, yo, I'm missing a whole bunch of classics. Let's do it. Saw The Matrix, one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. Sat down, put on the very first Star Wars. I couldn't get past 30 minutes. I was like, this shit is dog shit. And I know. Star Wars people are fucking crazy about that shit, but I just couldn't do it. It was the lasers in Congo. The lasers in Star Wars are worse, man. It's just horrible acting, horrible. I'm sure the storyline is great, but I couldn't make it through. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I've never actually watched all the Star Wars movies, and for that exact same reason.
It's bad, man.
Even if you go back, you remember, Arian, you remember when Jurassic Park came out and how mind-bending that was?
It was wild.
Like, these dinosaurs look real. They're real dinosaurs in this movie. And now you go back and you watch the original Jurassic Park, and it's still pretty good. But you see the dinosaurs, and you're like, well, that's plastic. Like, that's just clearly a statue of a dinosaur that they're using. Right,
but it's not as bad as you would think, though. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there's some you remember because it's real, it's live action, but it's still, I think it's better than the more current one. You ever seen the original Ninja Turtle movies? The original Ninja Turtle, that's still fire. It's still like believable in a sense, right? I mean, the mouth don't go with the words sometimes, but it's still believable to a sense. Like the later renditions with a lot of the early CGI is kind of garbage, man.
I feel like that's almost an accident, though, that the Ninja Turtles are still holding up to this day, because at the time when they put it out, they were probably like, this movie has great special effects. The turtles look so real, but they made it in such a campy, corny way that it looks like it's intentionally corny now, like 30 years later,
Yeah, on accident. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
They should remake Congo with Planet of the Apes type CGI, because that is
Billy,
what it came down to.
That's good. I like that idea, though.
Yeah,
I think you'd be really good on that project because you would care about the material so much.
Yeah, it was a killer book. Like the whole concept.
You should
fascinating.
Yeah, it is, with the gorilla that they're trying to like reintroduce back to the wild, and it's more human than gorilla. He said,
"Hi, I'm Amy." I remember that. Bad gorilla, go away.
Yeah.
But like the whole story, how they intertwined it with about the history.
When she confronts the bad gorilla.
Ugly gorilla, go away.
Doing sign language.
Other gorilla's like, yo, smack this bitch.
No, but like how King Solomon's mines were. Actually, I'm going to spoil the book. But like the whole, it got me into a part of history that I never actually read much about before. And like about I forget is it King Solomon's Mines?
I forget. It's been so long since I've seen it.
Mhm.
Billy, you should read The Andromeda Strain. I'm pretty sure that's by Crichton too. That talks actually
during COVID.
Yeah, that book talks about the evolution of alien life and how it's not supposed to look like human life on Earth.
Yeah,
Full circle moment
no, because
for the podcast, because it's like if we get invaded by an alien, it's much more likely that it would be a microbe or some sort of a virus.
Well, viruses in itself do not look like life on Earth. They don't have a nucleus. They're not. They don't necessarily. They don't even know if viruses are really alive. As if anything, they think that viruses may have came from space.
Yeah,
like
and octopuses.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Like it's actually very possible viruses.
That's why I like that movie. God, what's that movie where the shit come and like they talk to it, like they go up and they're trying to learn each other's language. And it's like a circle.
Oh yes,
what is that
yes.
movie? Arrival. Arrival.
Keanu Reeves. Is Keanu Reeves in it?
No. It's called Arrival. It's called Arrival. And what was dope about that movie was like it's one of the first movies I saw that really explored the fact that alien life would not communicate in the way that we communicate. They communicate differently, and so it's us trying to learn their communication. And they spent like all kind of time learning how they would communicate, but also they would look entirely different than us, and so they look more like squids, like octopods. And if you look, a lot of like people who study octopuses, they think it's a possibility that they came from somewhere else. They are fucking alien, dog. But one of the most fascinating parts about that movie was that the way their language was constructed, it's not constructed. They don't look at time as linear. They look at it as circular. And so like the way that they communicate is entirely different. There was a fascinating way they explored it. It was so dope.
Did you see the picture? I posted it to the Macrodosing Twitter, but I'll find it. But it's a giant squid egg sac, and it is the scariest. Like let me like it's the most alien thing I've ever seen. I'm trying to pull it up right now. But it's basically a giant gel sac. I'm sending it to the group. Hopefully you can put it in YouTube. But there's this diver who's diving the fjords of Sweden, and he just comes upon this giant squid egg sac. And the thing is, I don't even think giant squid, like I think they breed in the part of the ocean that's just like so deep that they can't really study it that well. But check this out. It literally looks like, the closest thing I could describe it to is just it's bigger. It's like a bubble full of gelatin, the size bigger than a human.
Yeah, I don't fuck with the ocean, bro.
Like imagine swimming up upon that thing, like
nope,
tens of thousands. I don't know how deep these guys are, like hundreds of feet below the ocean, and just finding that. I'd be like, oh my God, where's its mother? It's going to eat me.
Yeah, it looks like an egg.
It's like a
I would make an omelet out of that thing.
Should be ass though. Yeah, imagine ocean eggs. They probably taste horrible, bro.
Oysters.
Yeah, it's true.
Oysters are good.
All right, let's get to some voicemails. How does that sound?
Good.
And then we're gonna get to our interview with Chris Hansen. Chris Hansen, great guy, came into the studio and chopped it up with him for a while. Good dude, great voice too, very soothing voice.
Very
he took a seat,
super calm. He took a seat.
Yeah, took a seat on the couch, and we talked to him for a while. That must suck to just like show up somewhere and let's say you're at a bar, right? You go up to the bar and then you turn to the side and Chris Hansen is sitting right next to you. You're like, oh fuck. he probably like scares everybody that he meets just in his day-to-day life. But the voicemails are going to be brought to you by HelloFresh. Flavor is in full bloom at HelloFresh. Enjoy the taste of spring with your chef-crafted recipes. They've got ripe seasonal ingredients delivered right to your door. HelloFresh does way more than just delicious dinners. Not only can you take your pick from 40 weekly recipes, but you can choose from over 100 items to round out that order. From snacks and easy lunches to desserts and pantry necessities, everything arrives in one box on a delivery day that you choose. HelloFresh cares about quality. That's why their seasonal ingredients are picked at peak ripeness. They travel from the farm to your home in less than 7 days. So you know that they're fresh. You get fresh food delivered directly to your door on a day that you choose. If you check save money off your growing to-do list with the help of HelloFresh, you won't regret it. HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping. It's 25% cheaper than takeout. So when spring sunshine is calling your name, don't call for takeout. Get HelloFresh instead. No more scouring the grocery store for that one ingredient to complete your recipe. HelloFresh takes away all that hassle because they deliver fresh, pre-portioned ingredients to you, so you have exactly what you need, and it helps you cut down food and on food waste. No more filling your refrigerator up with leftovers that you're not going to use. HelloFresh sends you the portions that you will need. You can go to HelloFresh.com/dose16. Use code DOSE16 for 16 meals plus free shipping. That's an incredible deal. You get 16 free meals plus free shipping when you go to HelloFresh.com/dose16 and use promo code DOSE16. 16 free meals. All right, let's do voicemails and then Chris Hansen.
Okay.
What's going on, everybody? Phil from Northeast Indiana. Quick question. If you could be on any game show from any era, what game show would it be? Give me Price is Right with Bob Barker 2 times a week, every day. Talk to you later.
American Gladiator.
Good answer, Billy. The original one.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Jeopardy.
Oh, you know, Legends of the Hidden
that's
Temple.
good too. But American Gladiator, that thing was sick.
I'm going on Legends of the Hidden Temple, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
there was it Silver Monkeys. Yeah, Silver Monkeys.
I don't know.
There's Blue Barracudas, Silver Monkeys.
Blue Iguanas. I remember that.
No, that was. I thought it was the Blue Barracudas.
Was it Red Iguanas?
I remember iguanas. I want to say green.
That was a great game show.
It was amazing.
I would go with Guts.
Ooh.
It was like the show that came on before Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah.
I think I would dominate Guts. You had one where you were like a soccer goalie trying to stop penalty shots.
Oh, yeah.
Climb the aggro crag.
The
take home a
aggro
piece of the
crag, bro. Come on.
And then plus, yeah. I want to. Now when I look at the aggro crag and the piece that you got to take home, they were just giving you meth. It just looks like a big rock of crystal meth.
All right, here goes.
Also, shout out Mo.
Shout out Mo. Go to the rules official Mo.
Yeah,
she was like British. I think I even turned. I think everybody.
You guys are really dating yourselves here.
Yeah,
no, I used to watch that.
But it's like
I used to date myself all the time when Mo was on TV.
So it's red jaguars, blue barracudas, green monkeys, orange iguanas, and purple parrots and silver snakes. That's what it was. I was always rooting for the silver snakes. That's what it was. All right, go ahead, Maddie, Mackenzie.
I grew up watching Game Show Network all the time with my grandma. And Lingo was a show that I watched a lot, and I got really good at that. It's basically Wordle, but live. So I'd probably do that one.
Chain Reaction on Game Show Network was also
I loved that one. I love GSN.
Chain Reaction time flies. That's what it would say at the end of every episode. Good show.
Wipeout also.
Wipeout was
just for fun.
Would you do American Ninja Warrior?
No, because that's too much training.
No.
You'd have to train for that
Mackenzie.
shit. But it would be fun if he was in shape.
Yeah.
About American Ninja Warrior, my friend from high school is actually going to be on that show, like in the next coming season. I could never do that. I think Family Feud.
Yeah.
Would be fun. My family was almost on that, like before. This was like way back when like it was the original host. But they like went and auditioned and everything, and then they ended up like canceling the show, so they didn't get to go on. But my mom like still has the letter that they sent them to like invite them on. So I think that one maybe.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
Although it's always awkward when somebody makes like an unintentionally horny answer, and then like it's like a grandma that says it, and then the rest of their family has to be like, "Good answer, Nana."
Good answer.
Yeah. Steve Harvey has the best like reactions on that show.
No question. He makes.
Oh yeah. Steve Harvey's job was to like, he would hear an answer and then just look at the camera and then make a face, and that was television gold.
Yeah, he killed that shit.
Want to go for the next one?
Yeah, the next one.
Yep.
Hi, this is Hannah from College Station. I had a question for the whole crew, but first I wanted to say I don't appreciate the Texas A&M slander as I graduate in 2 days. Gig'em. If you could say one thing nice about College Station, that would make my day. Anyway, I had a question for the whole crew. If your life depended on it, could you ride a bull successfully for 8 seconds? The catch is the bull has a 50% buck-off rate. But I will allow 2 hands, except for Billy, because I know what he's going to say. So for him, the bull is an 80% buck-off rate, and he can only use 1 hand. Thank you so much.
What?
Love the show. Shout out to Mad Dog and Mackenzie. Macrodosing is for the girls. Stay handsome and gorgeous. Bye.
I'm still getting on that bull.
I think in my brain I can do that. If I can use both hands.
So she said 50% buck off rate, and immediately I don't know if that's a high buck off rate.
I was going to say that feels very low.
You don't want to use 2 hands anyway.
Why?
What?
It's for balance.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Yeah, because you have to move your...
You can still move with 2 hands, though.
No, with 2 hands, you
You have less mobility?
Yeah.
I'm still saying yes.
And you can't protect yourself if you get slammed into it.
Yeah,
you don't have the hand
half
free.
Of it's
She said you can, you don't have to.
I've watched YouTube tutorials on how to ride a bull because I work in a job where, I don't know, not now, but maybe in the future, so for some reason I'm on a bull.
Yeah. I'm interested to see Billy's YouTube searches just to see what he thinks he might get into at one point.
I think I could do it, though.
I think I could not do it. I don't think so, because I think once that first kick happens, once the bull kicks up in the air, I'm just gonna be like, fuck this, I'm out of here. But she said if my life depended on it, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
So I
not for me.
This is according to Cowboy Lifestyle New York or Network. I'm sorry, I was like, that didn't make sense. Cowboy Lifestyle Network. There's these. They give the top 5 bulls, and the number 5. His name is Tahanta, and he has a 94.3% buck off rate. So it's they be bucking these motherfuckers off. But let's see what the number 1. The number 1 is called Bushwhacker, and
yeah,
he has a 95.25. No, sorry, he has a 96.5% buck off rate. So
is Bushwhacker Canadian?
I don't know.
So then we could definitely do it.
I'm not.
I want to address. I want to address another part of the question, and I don't want to pile on. I don't even remember when we did Texas A&M slander, but I'm sure we did.
You always. Yeah, I remember 3 or 4 different occasions you have talked mad.
Well, they are a cult. I mean, so I said all that to say this is the most Texas A&M question of all time. Yeah. I mean, this is this is a Texas A&M question.
He asked though if everybody say something nice
very
about
much so.
College Station.
Down to the part. Yeah, down to the very part where she says everybody say something nice about College Station.
Right.
It is a very Texas A&M question.
I will say one nice thing. Their meat judging team is the best in the country. They won the national championship.
Yeah.
Wait, Big T, that might be cap. I think that's cap.
I'm almost certain that's accurate.
Oh no.
I'm almost certain it's Texas Tech University that has the great meat judging team.
No. I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
Okay. All right. I'm happy to be wrong about this.
I don't know. I didn't know there were meat judging teams.
That would mean that I have something nice to say too.
You guys might be thinking of 2 different events.
I don't know, but
I'm seeing the Fightin' Texas Aggie meat judging team won the 2022 national championship.
Okay, my mistake. Hand up. I'm sorry to the good people of College Station, Texas A&M University. You have a world-class meat judging team, which I won't even make fun of because that's a great skill to have.
Wild
you guys
skill.
will make outstanding butchers.
Yeah,
you just look at a cow and you're like, that cow.
Oh, it seems
I would eat the shit.
It seems like it was them and Texas Tech in the national championship. So
Don't
Texas
short
Tech
yourself.
is a great program, but nothing on. They don't have anything on the Aggies.
Is this like one of those things where they're the only two teams?
That's entirely possible.
Like
It's
cheerleading.
they both have amazing. Yeah, they both have storied.
Meat judging.
Yeah, meat judging legacies, but it's like just
I can't
either one
with
of them
that.
wins every year.
This event name is killing me. Bro. I can't do this.
Hang on, I gotta send y'all. I gotta send
Meat
y'all the
judging
national
team.
championship picture.
Wait, what is meat?
They
What's
just-
meat judging?
They
Exactly
go.
what it sounds like.
They go to all the swim events and just
Wait, is it judging a cow when it's alive or judging meat when it's like cut?
this is wild.
It's they're judging the hanging meat like
Oh,
that
like
Rocky.
that.
Oh, they're
that
not
butcher
eating it?
shop.
Yeah, it's what Rocky beats when he's in the meat locker.
What are they judging it
eating the
for?
meat and it's hanging.
I like their uniforms. I like college
Like, who
college
had-
Station.
Say something nice
uniforms.
about College Station.
Texas A&M's. Their uniforms are dope.
Oh,
I
that
love-
guy,
I love
the guy
maroon.
in the middle.
I love maroon.
Wait, no, this isn't them in their meat judging uniforms. Their meat judging uniforms are more hilarious. It's the white butchers that like people who work at meat processing.
Is he the coach or the only guy on the team?
Okay, so
No, there's another guy at the end.
There's two dudes.
Oh shit, I didn't see him. Wow, that guy.
The dude in the middle's face is so funny.
He looked like a young Mr.
okay,
Bean.
here's what I'm thinking. Texas Tech had a three-peat. They were back-to-back-to-back meat judging champions.
Wow.
And their reign ended in 2021, and then it sounds like A&M stole the crown from
To
them.
be the man, you got to beat the man.
Sounds like you guys
Yeah.
are both right. though.
Kirby finally
That's a
took
little
down
dynasty
Saban,
going
and A&M finally took down Texas Tech in meat judging.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's if it's the same way where like the legendary programs have spin-off coaches. That go and
A
they-
coaching
they
tree
work at
of
different
meat
schools.
judging.
Yeah.
Meat judging.
Yeah.
Meat judging is more to determination of the quality of wait. Oh, so they're supposed to look at a carcass and judge how much lean meat yield the carcass gives.
Just by eyeballing.
by eyeballing it.
So
And
it's
then
like
they
who
carve it
gets
up, so-
closer to the.
Yeah.
Nobody actually eats it.
No, they're just eyeballing meat in the
I don't think that you can properly crown a meat judging champion if they don't carve the meat up and then you taste it afterwards.
Well, you have to cook it.
I don't want to
Yeah.
shit on anybody's hobby or profession. Is it a profession? But that's a wild thing to have
yield
a
grading or yeah.
crew for. Like, when did this start, bro?
Well, the thing is, I think
Do they have a starter and like a starting team and then like backups that come off the bench?
well, I think
Is
these
there a LeBron James of meat judging?
guys, I think we're all the idiots here because I think these guys get hired by large meat processing
I'm sure.
factories and they select the meat and they make I'm pretty sure they make like 6 figures judging meat.
They have
to
so
pick the best.
Texas
Don't make enough
A&M's
money.
like
Good.
Animal Science Center. Yeah. Texas A&M's like Animal Science Center is what houses their meat center, Rosenthal Center, and they have a creative sausage making class.
Oh.
Like creative writing, but creative sausage.
Come on, man.
Is there NIL? Is any money going to any of the meat judges? Because now I've got some ideas going through my head of building my own powerhouse.
I was just
New
gonna say
macrodosing athlete.
let's pick a school and just become the #1 meat judging team in the country. I
how do we-
imagine you could do it
okay.
for a pretty low cost.
But how do we recruit? Like, how do we know if somebody's good at judging meat?
Just take the top guys from A&M and Texas Tech and say we'll give you X amount of dollars to come to whatever school we pick.
I don't know how many schools have the facilities that A&M and Tech does. The proximity because I don't
Probably
think
a
they
lot
have
of-
I don't think
How,
they
how
have
many
the
schools
beef.
participate
All we need
in
is
these
the talent.
competitions?
So I'm reading an article right now that said in the event that this reporter went to and was covering, there were 8 schools that competed.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's low for that. If there's more who weren't in that particular event, I don't know.
Yeah. So
I feel like Montana is a sleeping giant in this industry. There's probably a shitload of meat around them, and they're just waiting to make a comeback.
Do they get
at probably Montana State University?
But the thing is, I don't think Montana has the meat processing plants because that's what it's all about. It's not about where the cattle live; it's where they're processed.
So
do they have scholarships and
A&M
shit?
School?
Do they give out like meat watching scholarships? They do.
So here's competitive meat judging traces its roots to 1926. It was introduced at the International Livestock Exposition in Chicago. For 70 years, it was governed by the National Livestock and Meat Board. It's fallen under the purview of the American Meat Science Association, which schedules six competitions each year, 2 in the spring, 4 in the fall. I think we got to go to a competition.
So listen to this. This is from 2019. Today, the Red Raiders are the Alabama football of the meat judging world. Under the guidance of Coach Miller, Texas Tech has reset the standards of collegiate meat judging excellence. Tech has captured 7 of the last 11 national championships, highlighted by a 3-year stretch from 2015 to 17, in which it won a staggering 19 of 21 major contests.
So these are the schools. Texas Tech, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, Colorado State, and Kansas State are the heavy hitters.
So it's a lot of like Rust Belt.
No.
That's not Rust Belt.
Or not Rust Belt. I'm Rust Belt.
Plains.
Okay, so read those again. Read the heavy hitters off because I want to figure out which one of these schools we want to sponsor.
It's Colorado State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State.
Those are heavy
Texas
hitters.
Tech.
We need to find 19 schools enter, but some let's find like an Alabama A&M Dragons. No,
they're not the Dragons, and
that's Alabama State.
No, Alabama State is the
Isn't that
Hornets or something?
UAB.
UAB is the Blazers.
And they're the Blazers.
Yeah.
Yes, their logo is a dragon.
Yeah.
How did I know that, Billy?
So let's pick a team.
That's where Sam
Enough
Hunt.
for this.
Read all the teams.
I'm looking for them. They didn't list them.
We about to sponsor.
I kind of like Kansas State.
A meat watching team.
No, but we want a small one.
Yeah, we want a small.
I want to go to an event.
You can buy meat from Texas A&M. If you go there, you can like go to this meat center and buy their meat. Let's go buy meat.
Meat judging program. Okay, look, the collegiate power rankings. I got it.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Start from the bottom and go up.
This is livestock judging, which is different.
Oh no.
Okay,
That's not what we
I want meat judging.
They have a barbecue summer camp. Can we do it?
Livestock.
Camping
That would
trip.
be sick.
Camping trip.
They also have their own beef jerky.
Okay. We got to find this. University of Wyoming is one.
They seem like they'd be pretty good already.
Oh,
I want to take someone in the doldrums of intercollegiate meat judging, and I want to turn them into a powerhouse. With other people's money.
So now I'm trying to figure out, is livestock judging the same as meat judging?
It sounds like it's not.
It's because I think the livestock judging is
alive.
live. Yeah, live.
Did you know they called Texas A&M Barbecue U?
I didn't know that.
Whoa, they're taking
I
classes.
did not know that.
I thought that was Brooklyn Tech.
No, they said sharing this gem because Texas A&M is and always will be Barbecue U.
They for sure put that in there because there's beef, no pun intended, with Texas Tech there.
Wait,
And they have Camp Brisket.
do we have, is there a Tennessee team?
I have never heard of one, but, no time like the present.
Tarleton State University sounds like a small school that could use some macrodosing help.
Where's
I think
Tarleton?
Michigan
it's
State
in
has
Texas.
one?
They just recently became Division I think.
South Dakota State has one.
That seems like a potential sleeping giant.
Yeah. Western Texas College.
Now we're talking. Those are the kind of programs I want to revive.
What about Washington State?
Wazoo?
Tough
Wazoo.
to attract talent to Pullman. These meat judgers, they want to be in Texas, Colorado, those places.
I want to go to brisket camp.
I like Colorado State too.
Oh, I like Colorado State.
Garden City Community College.
Are y'all actually thinking about doing this shit?
I kind of want to go eat meat.
I would love to go eat.
I think we should do it.
You can get heart-shaped.
Do an NIL deal.
How much are we talking
about?
about?
Ribeyes on Valentine's Day.
I'm not about to fork over.
I think
thousands
if
of
we
dollars
put
to these meat judges, bro.
I'm asking my NIL source how much money it would cost to build a powerhouse meat judging team.
I think if we put $1,000 into an NIL deal at Garden City Community College, that's in Kansas. We could make some noise.
Is that where Last Chance U is?
What?
No, I don't think so.
No, one of the episodes of one of the seasons of Last Chance U, I think was
Where?
No, Independence.
But they play that school.
They did, yeah.
Interesting.
Any more voicemails?
I have
Nebraska, Iowa State. We got to pick one. I want to sponsor a meat judging team. Out of all the schools that we've listed so far,
let's have some reach out to us.
Yes.
If you're a meat judging athlete,
we want to infuse your school with cash.
Mm-hmm.
You know what would actually be good if instead of wearing those white butcher uniforms,
they got macrodosing merch.
We got macrodosing.
Yeah, we can make lab coat merch. Yeah.
Yeah, then
I like that.
That's more affordable.
All right, yeah, let's do another voicemail.
Okay. This is our last one.
Yo, what up, Macrodosing? This is James from Holyoke, Massachusetts. I'm a proud UMass Minuteman. Shout out Colby. We miss having you on the show. My question is, I'm just wondering if, we could get some more information about the move to Chicago and how that's going to affect the show. Like who's moving, who's staying, or if our schedule's going to change at all. I know it's probably not set in stone, but I was hoping to keep the listeners informed as to what's going to happen with this big move. Finally, though, Billy, I got some serious beef with you. It's been going on for, at least 2 years, and I'm sick and tired of hearing you say nuclear. I don't know if it's a bit or what. I know you like to say things as you read them, but come on, you're adding letters there. It's new, clear. You sound like George Bush out there briefing the U.S. about the North Korean nuclear activity.
That's the bit.
It's a huge ick of mine, especially when you're trying to have an intellectual discussion about nuclear weapons or power. It's not a great look to say nuclear 3 times in a matter of a few minutes.
That's the bit.
Sorry, I love your work. I just had to get that one off my chest. Love you guys. Stay handsome, beautiful. Subscribe to the YouTube. Shout out Big Chief. Let's get it to 100K. Thanks, guys.
Oh.
I also do believe earlier in this episode, Billy said nucleus.
Yeah, because all cells have a nucleus.
A nucleus.
Nucleus.
Okay, whatever. It's a George Bush bit.
All right. I think.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it.
Holyoke, home to an all-women's college.
Okay.
Mount Holyoke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, we want to sponsor the meat judging team at an all-women's college?
I kind of
no, but that's where that guy was from.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, we're moving to Barstool. Parts of Barstool are moving to Chicago. I'm moving actually in just like 2 weeks, which is crazy to think about. So I'm going to be in Chicago all summer. Can't wait for the Malort. And I don't know if you guys saw this. They just sent me a rendering of our studio because they are building a macrodosing studio in Chicago.
What the fuck? Why didn't you send it, bro?
Will you send it my way?
They just sent it. I totally forgot to. I was doing something at the time and I forgot to.
Hands on site.
It's a. I'll show it right here. This is the rendering. Oh, it's not even popping up right now, but
we can just send it.
It's sick. Just try. Oh, here we go.
We'll send it to us.
So
it's your
that's
battery
our studio.
Can you forward it?
The desk is a giant question mark.
Can you screenshot it and send it?
Yeah, I'm sending it over. Yeah, here it comes. 3, 2, 1. Sent.
That was fast. Jesus.
The desk is a question mark, which is awesome.
That's fire.
That's sick.
And so we're going to have our own studio there. Got some plans. I know I'll let you guys kind of go around the room and say what your plans are. Billy kind of addressed his plans on part of my take yesterday. But Billy, for the record, Billy will still be a part of the show. Mm-hmm. He will just be in New York contributing to this show. So even though he won't be on PMT anymore, guess what? If you want Billy in your life, there's only one place that you can go for it, and that's Macrodosing. So we've cornered the Billy audience.
We have the Billy football monopoly.
The studio looks so fucking cool.
It does look really cool.
Oh, it's fire.
It sucks.
Big T.
I am moving to Chicago, Illinois This job has taken me to 2 cities
Okay.
that I never would have wanted to live.
Love that.
San Francisco next.
Yeah, I'm sure we're headed to the Bay Area relatively soon. LA after that. We'll just hit all of them. Yeah, I'm probably moving in like August. So we'll have this Zoom. You're moving like soon, right?
Yep.
So we'll have this set up for a while, but then come football season, we will have what looks to be a pretty cool studio. So.
And I'm going to be...
Yeah, I'm very excited. Big T's moving.
I think I'm going to be... I think we discussed it with Hank, but I'm going to be coming in probably once a month. So that'll be cool for sure.
So I'm going to be trying to come in once a month as well on my own dime. Don't care. I'm going to get there because that studio looks pretty awesome. And I'm going to be making the trip as much as I can. And even if you guys, I have a feeling you guys are going to be like, you're not allowed to come.
No, we're not.
Unless you move out. And I'm going to be like, no, I'm coming every single time.
Who?
I am also moving.
Why do you feel like that? What?
I'm paranoid.
Yeah, we're not going to squeeze you out, Billy. This isn't Succession. I am also moving.
Don't come.
Yeah.
Don't come.
No, I'm coming. I'm coming every single
gotta come.
time. I'm going to come like twice a month. Just gonna like get so competitive I accidentally move out there. Yeah, no, the move and stuff is
I think Maddie was...
everyone's what?
I was
I
just
think she
saying
was in
I'm
the
also
middle of
moving to
Oh,
Chicago. I'm also moving to Chicago, Illinois in August. Beginning of August I'll be there. So I'll be out there in time for the new office to open. I think me and Big T are moving out there similar times. So, yeah, I'll be back to my Midwest roots in just a couple.
A lot of people are
months.
saying that there's a conspiracy theory out there that Mad Dog and Big T are brother and sister. Is that true?
That is not true.
No.
Okay.
Who's
Who's saying that?
saying this? The streets?
A lot
The
of
streets are
people-
saying.
I've got a bunch of DMs recently, so there's some sort of forum, some sort of macrodosing forum that's been very active, saying that Big T and Mad Dog are brother and sister.
Is this real?
Which is, I like that. Yeah.
No, we're not. I only met Big T when I started working on macrodosing. But
how are they? They have different accents. They have
Mad
different
T.
regional
That's
accents.
the reason that it's
Big dog.
untrue.
Look, there's a lot of siblings that don't look anything like.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about the move for a lot of reasons, and for the macrodosing studio to have its own home. I'm pretty pumped about that, so we don't have to share a studio space anymore. And we're also going to be doing some extra content with macrodosing out of that studio.
Mhm.
The goal is to have a recording studio that's built into the macrodosing studio. So we'll be able to get in the studio and pump out some songs and do all sorts of weird, crazy shit. And I've been talking to Donnie a little bit about this, recurring guest Donnie. He's moving out to Chicago as well. We want to do a thing where we do like a live stream, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, of us on Twitch writing a song and recording it in the studio with input from the chat telling us like what to write the song about, song lyrics, all sorts of stuff like that. And also Nick from the Anus Boys, he's expressed some interest in joining up and collabing on that every now and again too. And Arian, being a musician and a songwriter, when he's up in there, I would love to have him work on that as much as possible too, because people forget Arian made the beat for the Benny the Butcher at the Bank song. Arian he sent me like a list of like 20 different beats that he had sampled ready to go. He's extremely talented. He makes the music for macrodosing, the intro music and all that stuff. So there's a lot of cool things that are going to be developing out there. I'm excited about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. Hype for everybody involved. Just the growth of the show. Everybody getting theirs. Lovely, man. Love to see it.
I'm really excited. That studio is awesome. And I'm excited to have our own space.
Yeah, sorry, Billy.
Yeah, no, it definitely sucks. And also, people stop like trying to figure out in my private life like reasoning. It's kind of getting a little annoying. And, like after the announcement on part of my take yesterday, just leave everyone alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Leave Billy alone.
There won't be less of Billy.
Yeah.
If anything, we'll get more of Billy.
Leave Billy alone. All right. Well, let's get to our interview with Christopher Hansen. Chris Hansen, remember him from To Catch a Predator, legend, came in the studio. We welcome on a very, very special guest of Macrodosing. You guys are probably familiar with his work. I know I am. We've talked about some of the work that you've done on this show as well. Kind of a recurring theme on this program. It is Chris Hansen. He's got a new show out, Takedown with Chris Hansen, on True Blue. And you're also doing a podcast, Predators I Have Caught, the podcast. You probably know him best from To Catch a Predator. It's kind of what puts you on the national map as far as a lot of people are concerned. So tell us real quick about Takedown with Chris Hansen, the new show. How does that relate? We talked a little bit before we started taping. How does that relate to Catch a Predator?
Takedown is the next generation of the Predator investigation. So after 19 years, you would think, after all the publicity, all the pop culture, all the guys who've gone to prison, you would think they'd stop showing up. But that's not the case. And we have more guys showing up today, more disturbing cases than ever before. So Takedown is the latest version of the Predator investigation that's on True Blue. So we partner, collaborate with law enforcement around the country, and we set up sting operations as we always have. They've evolved, and we use most of the time decoys in law enforcement because it makes for a cleaner prosecution at the end of the day. And if these guys aren't prosecuted, then what have we done? You know, in the beginning, 19 years ago, the first investigation, we weren't sure what was going to happen. 17 guys surfaced in Long Island, New York, in 2.5 days, and they just walked right out of the sting house.
Yeah, it's more just shaming them, right?
It was shaming and exposing and educating and creating a dialogue, but only one of those guys, because he was a New York City firefighter, was prosecuted. The second investigation, more cases were prosecuted after the fact by law enforcement. After that, we have always collaborated with law enforcement.
How would that work when somebody would show up, especially early on? Because we've done, just a small amount of television here. We've done, a lot of videos for the internet. Do you have to get these guys to sign a waiver?
No, because we're a news organization. We're covering the commission of a felony. As a courtesy for entertainment programs or, a documentary, it's traditional to get a form signed, a waiver. But we don't have to do that. I mean, the guy gives up any reasonable expectation of privacy when he walks into my sting house trying to rape a child.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah, and it's like, if you want to sue me, then
come on,
by all means,
yeah.
let's take this to court,
right.
and we'll just further put your name out there. I may have done a bad job introducing you, but I was making a conscious effort to not say the line that you probably hear all the time. Just take a seat.
Have a seat right over there.
Why don't you have a seat right over here for me, Chris?
Yeah, South Park did it best, but yeah.
Can you say it again?
Yeah, have a seat right over there.
Yeah, it's different. Man. Yeah, Arian just lit up like a Christmas tree.
Arian's heard that before.
I'm saying because not in that way. So we used to have. So I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, your show was huge, right? So it was so big. So me and I don't know if you know this is Maurice Jones-Drew.
Sure.
Maurice Jones-Drew. We used to watch with our Twitter family live, To Catch a Predator. It's what we. It was Sunday. I think it was that was Saturday. Sunday. I don't know. I don't remember what day it aired.
Well, originally it was on during the week, and then the original run of To Catch a Predator was on Dateline. It was originally conceived as a one-off story for Dateline. It was never conceived to be what it became. I just thought it was interesting, and when I found out about the online watchdog group Perverted Justice, I figured, well, if we could use their decoys to pose as kids online and use our ability to use enterprise journalism and wire a house with hidden cameras and microphones, it might be compelling.
Yeah.
We had no idea that it was going to turn into this.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I've always had, I may have a multiplicity of questions, but I'm going to try to keep you, we don't got you for that long. But I guess to open up, what kept, I guess the initial interest of this, what was the initial interest? Because, and this is not accusatory. This is when you look into a lot of people who help kids and church stuff like that, there's nefarious reasons around it. It's a wild, because it's a wild topic.
Sure.
And I don't mean to be accused there, brother.
No. I totally understand where you're coming from.
It's a wild topic, and it's just like the interest in it is. I want to know if it's a personal vendetta, or is it just where did it come from?
Well, it came from knowing that kids were meeting adults online and getting hurt, sexually assaulted, in some cases killed. And if I had gone into the executive producer at Dateline at the time and said, look, we need to do this story, but all I have is some anecdotal scary stories, interviews, and video of people clicking on the keyboard, that's not going to cut it for what we do. And so when I heard about Perverted Justice, I recognized it as an opportunity to really dig in. And I've always done investigative enterprise, sometimes hidden camera reporting around the world on different topics, all crime stuff, obviously. And so I thought this was a natural extension. Now, I didn't know if anybody was going to show up. Mm-hmm. I was on my way out to the Sting House in Long Island, wondering if I had just wasted tens of thousands of dollars of the network's money. And with that, my producer calls and said, where the hell are you? We've got 2 guys showing up in 45 minutes. And as I said, it was off to the races from that.
In a weird way, it's almost good if nobody shows up, because it's that means that there aren't bad guys trying to do bad things out there.
I only half jokingly say to my partner in True Blue, Sean Reck, that, I'm not against doing a cooking show in Italy or France or anywhere in the world. Yeah. I'm okay with that in 10 years. But I don't think that's going to happen, because you think about when we started, right? We had decoys in chat rooms on AOL and Yahoo. That was it. There was a wildfire in California. Yahoo went down. We had to stop our investigation in Georgia because we couldn't communicate with the guys we had in the queue. Now, I can't even keep up with the number of social media platforms upon which adults can meet children. Mm-hmm. And during the pandemic, for instance, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children will tell you that the number of inappropriate contacts and the transmission of inappropriate material between adults and children soared like 900%.
Yeah.
And so it's not going away. We had a guy, we did an investigation 3 or 4 weeks ago. We were in Ohio. We had a 54-year-old guy show up. He drove all the way from the Chicago area, 4.5 hours, to meet a teenage girl. I'm sitting on the couch with him. As I approach him, he says, oh, I just was having a conversation with someone about you. It's like, come on. And he admits that he had met 2 other teenage girls with whom he had sex. And he's wearing a necklace, a friendship necklace with half a medallion that one of the girls was wearing, she had given to him. That's how good he was at grooming this child and breaking down the barriers between adults and children in society and coaxing her into an illegal sexual encounter.
That's got to be some surreal stuff when did that first start happening? When somebody would show up
and recognize,
and they'd be like, oh, fuck, it's Chris Hansen. That's my worst nightmare.
It was right about, it started in the 3rd investigation in Riverside County, California, because we had done Long Island. We had done Herndon, Virginia, outside of Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. Shout out the Hornets.
Shout out the Hornets. We had a ton of high-level characters. We had a rabbi who showed up. We had a military guy. We had a guy who walked in the house naked. Special guy 29.
I saw that one.
Yeah. Hard to forget that one. Yeah. And so that really started to get a lot of attention. And Fairfax County authorities prosecuted a lot of these guys. The FBI prosecuted the rabbi and the military guy. And so by the time we got to Riverside, California, which was the next investigation, we had a couple guys who had seen the show. But it wasn't until, another 6 or 7 investigations into it where guys were walking in and said, oh, you're Chris Hansen. I never miss an episode. Yeah. When I do, I download them from the internet.
So they react positively?
It's almost like a celebrity moment. I had a guy in Polk County, Florida, earlier this year. We did a sting investigation. And the guy refused to talk to detectives, but he was having a fanboy moment when I walked in. He told me everything about his fantasies about a mother-daughter encounter and all that, and just, like that serial killer sort of laugh. And just, it was
got cameras rolling. You're taking a statement. And it's all admissible in court, right?
He knows. He was excited to talk to me because it was me.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something in common with all the pedophiles you encounter, that they have some sort of, what would you say besides, what they're there for, do they all sort of have something that like a personality trait?
I think they break down into 3 different categories. And again, I'm not a therapist, but in my experience, there's the hardcore heavy hitter who'd be doing this in a food court in a mall, or, he'd be a little league coach or whatever. There's a guy who is younger, one category, younger guy who's an opportunist, 19, 20, 21. She'll be older one day if it works out. It's okay. Bad, wrong, illegal, but that's his mindset. And then there's this interesting category in the middle, the professional, the doctor, the lawyer, the business guy, the coach, the military guy, a cop. We had a cop earlier this year, about a year ago, who just is predisposed to this, attracted to boys or girls, and just can't control the urge. And in spite of knowing everything, they show up at our Sting House after blurring this line between fantasy and reality. And the drive is very strong. People say, oh, God, these guys are so stupid. They're not stupid. They talk about this in the chat. I could get in trouble. I could go to jail. What if this is a Chris Hansen situation? What if it's Sheriff, so-and-so, or Sheriff so-and-so, or if it's this, the feds? They know it's dangerous. They can't control the urge. And the internet has allowed this to happen. The anonymity, the addictive nature of it, the 24/7 access, these guys get to this point where they can't control the urge. Yeah. And that's when we see them.
So these guys are all bad guys. They deserve to be locked up if they're doing any sort of this behavior.
I think so. I mean, there are cases, and I've talked to therapists, where if there is an intervention, if somebody is caught at a young age and they go through the therapy and they go through the monitoring and they do everything they're supposed to do, I think that they can not reoffend. I got a letter. I encourage people who listen to the Predators I've Caught podcast to write in and send audio questions. And even if it's just an email, I read them. And a guy wrote in and said, I've been watching your show since the beginning. I have urges. I have a therapist. I have a girlfriend. And I avoid situations like chat rooms where I might be tempted. And thus far, I've never offended. But thank you for bringing this to everybody's attention in such a graphic and public way, because it's helped me to cope with it.
What about somebody
that's what I was gonna say? I'll say that was gonna be the question I had to you, because this is kind of a hot take, right? But I've always said, like, if I abuse alcohol, or if I abuse drugs, or if I abuse people, right? If I'm like, and I've known many people who have done all of that, I have a place I can go, like a refuge, right?
Sure.
And I hate to humanize pedophiles, because it's almost commonplace to say, fuck them, put them under the jail, they deserve to die. I mean, I think even Ron DeSantis is talking about doing the death penalty and stuff like that. And so I have 4 children, 1 on the way. I'm very well aware of the dangers. I understand all of that. I'm saying that, having little babies, I get it. But there's this human side of me that says, okay, if society shuns you so much that you can't even talk about it, right? As far as like the guy emails you, right? The guy emails you and he's saying, I've had urges, right? It's hard for him he has to be a very strong human being to even go and admit he's having those urges.
Absolutely.
Without the judgment and the doubt, because I look at my sexual preferences are older women.
And it's opposite of a pervert.
It's exactly
He's a different sort of predator.
Right? Yeah.
He's a cougar predator.
He gets nursing homes.
In nursing homes.
But it's like the urges. I get those urges too. Like I see an older woman, I'm like, I gotta holler at her, right? Like and so from like a sexual standpoint, because we're all sexual beings. Everybody's a sexual being. Everybody has their thing. That wiring in their brain is. Like I said, this is a hot take, because I'm hearing it. I'm like, you're enabling, and I'm trying to preface it with, I'm not enabling. I'm just trying to come at it from a preventative standpoint. So, like, what is your, I guess, take on kind of normalizing it in a way that's allowing them to act on it before it becomes assault, because it is assault.
It is assault. It's rape. Yeah. It's a child under a certain age, in most states it's 16, cannot give consent unless the boy is of the same age. Yes. And it varies state to state. But I think the real issue, and you do a great job of bringing this up is that we don't have a lot of opportunities or enough opportunities for guys to get help. So if you're going to go to medical school and graduate with $250,000 of debt, and you have the choice of being a plastic surgeon 6 blocks from here on Park Avenue, or going into federal prisons every day and doing focus groups with convicted pedophiles, what are you going to do?
Yeah,
it takes a special human being, and I know them, and I've interviewed them, and they exist, and God bless them for doing the work they do. But it's tough work to sit there with 6 sex offenders in a federal prison who are going to be there for a long time and have nothing to lose, and dig into their minds and figure out, okay, you got caught for this, but how many other times did you do it?
Yeah.
And did you look at child pornography before you did it? And was there a link between the viewing of child pornography and you offending with a child? I mean, that's hard work. And it's not everybody in the medical field and the psychiatric field or even the therapy field is cut out to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's critically important that people have the ability to get treatment. Now, there's also personal responsibility. There's discipline. There are people out there who are just bad humans who will take advantage of children who are approaching the age of sexual awareness. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of what we see. I mean, this guy shows up with a backpack. The guy we talked about before, the 54-year-old, in his backpack, he's got condoms, lubricant, spermicide, Plan B pills, vape pen, and he was planning to spend the night. Now, he's an engineer, right? He's got a regular job, and he's got daughters who are around the same age as the child he was going to rape. So what do we do with that guy?
Yeah.
That's a bad human.
Premeditation. It's a lot of stuff. He's prepared.
5 hours in a car.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the death penalty for that?
That's a tough thing.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, look, it's all right. There's no putting me on the spot. You can ask anything you want, but I think the death penalty takes it to an entirely different level in terms of a conversation of whether or not that's ever appropriate or anything else. I mean, I think there are certain people who have offended in certain horrific ways that probably deserve it, and I know people in law enforcement who are not that crazy to the right, who are pretty moderate politically, who would say that's the only way to cure some people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some guys will offend and reoffend as long as there is the opportunity to do it. So there are those who I don't think are way out there who will say, in some cases, it's deserved. And I'm not sure that I can argue against them.
There's also the conversation to be had of, in some circumstances, not all circumstances, but the people that are offending like this, they may have experienced something like that when they were a child.
I think so, but I don't think
like
that
cycle
gives
pushing down.
I think that happens.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many times I've been out in public, or my wife and I have been out in public, and somebody will say, "Hey, can I talk to you for a minute?" And they'll say, "Thank you for doing this, because when I was a kid,
mm-hmm.
I was victimized." And you sit and listen, and it's a heartfelt conversation. But it does provide, I mean, one of the reasons I think why the franchise, the series, the investigations are so compelling and they have gone on for so long is that people get a sense of justice out of it. Whether they've been victimized or not, it's hard to argue against going after somebody who's attacking children.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's the thing it's wild to me. It's a bipartisan thing, right? Nobody is against that, but you'll find the interesting part of the psychology is of it that I find, because I've thought about this a lot, because I used to watch a show and I'm like, why am I so interested in the show? And it's like the psychology behind it is fascinating, because when you look at the entirety of human history, it's only been very recent where we have kind of demonized this behavior, right? And so if we are believers in how we've evolved, and we evolved into social creatures, it's almost like this behavior has been halted in us very recently, and I won't say us, in people very recently, and the backlash from it is we did a 180. We went from very recently there were still states that you can marry a child like at 12 years old or something like that, right? Like that was very recent on laws
in the grand scheme of history. Yeah, in some states with parental consent there were those laws, but still, I still look at it this way. a child.
No,
is a
hold
child,
on. Let me lay my plan because I don't want that
Sure.
to get out of context.
Clip that, please.
Yeah. And so like I wholeheartedly agree with it, but my whole thing is I just there has to be some kind of preventative measures that we take, or else the cycle's gonna continue, because we all agree it's bad, but the cycle of it continuing, it's almost, and it almost leads me into my next question for you, is because the cycle of it continuing, because we demonize it so bad that we don't have any outreach. A lot of our laws and a lot of our crimes that we have, we always deal with the blood and not the reason why we're bleeding. As technology evolves, how have you been able, or what are some of the different challenges you faced as technology is evolving in your investigations?
Well, in terms of technology, and all those points you raise are important. In terms of technology, again, we used to just have decoys in 2 different spots. Now there are hundreds, if not thousands, of places where guys are approaching children. And you can't have a decoy in every one of them. So if we do a sting operation in mid-Michigan or Florida or Ohio or California, you're getting a tiny percentage of the activity that's out there. And to your point about not doing enough to help people who might offend, that's true. The demand reduction element of this crime is difficult. It's not like the drug problem, where we can decriminalize some drug use and get people help to get off the drugs and to beat that addiction. Here, the demand is hard to reduce. And so the best solution, I think, based upon my experience, is education and the protection you put around your child by starting to educate them and have that conversation at a very early age that, look, you're going into a place where you don't know everybody. If you don't know them in real life, you don't know them on the computer. And there are adults out there who will try to trick you. And kids don't like to be tricked. And that's where the conversation starts. Because these guys are very good at grooming. When I was growing up, don't talk to strangers. Good advice then, good advice now. But the problem, of course, is that the guy who's a stranger on Wednesday is so adept at grooming. And I read these transcripts. I reread them for the podcast. And immerse myself in them. And it's almost like a template. These guys are so good at breaking down the traditional barriers between adults and children in society that they start to form bonds and friendships, and they find the vulnerable kids. We had a woman who wrote to me on the podcast. I interviewed her just day before yesterday. She was in college, and she's watching reruns of To Catch a Predator online, taking a break from writing her paper. And she sees a guy. He said, "Oh my God, that's Eric." This was in 2015. In 2009, Eric, posing as an 18-year-old, met her online and had sex with her when she was 16. He was actually 23. And she says, "Oh my God, this is that same guy." And the sting was done in 2006. So at the time he convinced her to have sex, he had already served a year in prison, was on 5 years probation, and a registered sex offender posing as an 18-year-old to convince a vulnerable child who was homeschooled and had no social life to have sex with him.
Mm-hmm. What about the opposite direction? Has there ever been a woman in your experience or on the show that has tried to lure like a 15-year-old guy?
We haven't seen it in any of our investigations. In 19 years, we've seen talk of it. We've seen guys try to use it as a ruse. My girlfriend and I are coming over. We've never had, in all that time, a female predator service in our investigation. And the therapists and the experts tell us that it's because when it comes to female predators, you're more likely to see the teacher-student scenario. Female predators don't like the anonymity that male predators sometimes thrive on.
I'm just speculating, but I would imagine that like a woman, it'd be easier for, say, a 35-year-old woman, if she wanted to sleep with a 16-year-old guy, it would be easier for her to do that with somebody that she knew in real life that was around her, as opposed to a guy that would need to go through this whole like creepy secret thing to do it with a stranger.
We did a story for True Blue and people can check it out at watchtrueblue.com, TRUBLU, on our news magazine there, True Crime Nation, where a woman in her 20s was posing as a teenager, 16, and was hanging out with kids in the state of Portland, and convinced this kid at 13 years old to run off with her. Sold his cell phone at a kiosk in a mall, and the mother is apoplectic. Where's my boy? He went to this party and he's never not shown up before, and he's with this girl, older girl, who's like 24, and he's 13, having sex with her under an overpass, living with homeless people in Portland. Now, obviously, she's not right, and certainly not typical of all female predators, but it happens.
That would be a wild twist if that happened on To Catch a Predator at one point.
I mean, it's. I'm not ruling it out, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I think the 16-year-old boys tend to not see themselves as victims in a lot of the cases.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but in this case that I just referenced, this 13-year-old boy, and I got a chance to chat with him a little bit because I interviewed his mom. He's going to have issues. 13 is 13.
Yeah,
and we see comments. We put a clip on TikTok, as everybody does, and it generates a lot of attention and leads viewers into True Blue. And you see some of these comments, oh, it was the best 3 days of his life. He's 13. We don't know how this is going to impact him down the road, what else he saw, what he might experience or suffer from psychologically. I mean, that's a lot for a 13-year-old kid to deal with, whether you're a boy or a girl.
Guys like to, and it's almost like a masculine thing for men to be like, man, if I was 13 years old, I would have been having so much sex. That would have been awesome. It's more of them talking about like how they wish their past self had gotten laid more often, and not the reality of like
their current self.
Or their current self, yeah, and not the reality of like if you're a 13-year-old and there's a 40-year-old having sex with you, that's going to just destroy your entire life. Regardless of if you're a male or female.
It changes your sexual experiences. It changes how you look at sex. It changes how you feel about sex, and that influences everything about you. And so I that shit bothers me so much when dudes do that shit, because like you otherize it, you know what I'm saying? And then it makes men like pack away this pain that they're not supposed to have. Like if you felt vulnerable at one point, you was like, well, didn't that feel good? Like, nah, fam, like that shit, like you were taken advantage of. Like I know a couple guys that had gotten molested when they were kids and they were boys, and I know a dude that was molested by men, and I know a dude that was molested by women, and their experiences were very different, but like he opened up about it, the one that was molested by women, and it's just like, you're vulnerable, like to be taken advantage of at a vulnerable place.
Your mind isn't fully formed at that age.
100%, yeah, 100%, and it's I hate that notion. Yeah, I super hate that notion.
I know Billy's got some questions he wants to get to. I'm going to let Big T ask a couple as well in a second here. But we talked about this on the show a couple weeks ago, because in your situation where a guy would show up to the house and you can see the realization creep over his face that he has fucked his entire life up, the rest of his life, everything that he's got going with him. Like you mentioned, a rabbi one time showed up. In that situation, even though these guys came over to do the worst things that you can imagine, is there a small part of you that is like, that finds it hard to watch a person self-destruct up close that much?
It is, especially when you have somebody who's younger. And I try to take a different tact with somebody like that. I mean, if a 19-year-old shows up to have sex with a 12-year-old girl, I mean, that's disturbing, but he is 19 and he can tell me the whole story and everything else, and I'll take a different approach to that person because he's a younger guy, he's not fully formed yet perhaps, but should he get away with it? No, because at the end of the day, what's the difference between the danger posed by a 19-year-old man and a 39-year-old man? It's the same danger to a child. Now, the criminal justice system should probably treat it differently. He should get help and therapy, hopefully never reoffend. But just like the law enforcement community and the courts and the judicial system would treat him differently, I treat him differently too in that moment. I mean, there's no great glee or, high-fiving or anything after somebody comes in. I mean, there's a sense of accomplishment in terms of, we exposed somebody. Yeah. Who was a bad guy. We had a guy who showed up in Ohio, did the interview, talked to him, admitted he'd been arrested before, gets arrested. 2 weeks later, he's in a county north of where we were, in a hotel room with a 14-year-old girl after talking her into having sex, videoing the sexual encounter. 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's pathological.
What should happen to that guy? He's in his 20s.
Yeah, that guy is so far gone that there's no hope for him. I was just thinking, like, on a human to human level, like you can look at somebody and know this guy is a bad person. They do things that ruin people's lives, and also seeing them completely fall apart. That might make for a couple of tough conversations with an individual.
There are tough conversations, and we try to, it's all about being, I think, transparent in your methodology, right? When we first did the Predator investigations, there were those in the traditional journalistic community that thought we were pushing something too far, that maybe we had crossed a line because we worked too closely with law enforcement, or that we were too graphic in what we were showing. But hey, it's reality. Are we going to bury it? Are we not going to be investigative reporters all of a sudden? Are we not going to use our enterprising techniques to expose this? No, I'll take that criticism all day long, because I think at the end of the day, we created a dialogue and an awareness, and we continue to do this that didn't exist before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, if the problem's over, then nobody's going to show up. And that hasn't happened in 19 years.
And it won't.
It's not.
It's going to continue.
So have you ever, one quick question before we get to Big T.
Sure.
Have you ever felt scared in a situation like where, like, yo, this dude might have done something to me, because like you never know what they packing.
Yes, to answer your question, but we have as much control over the situation as you can possibly have. Law enforcement is there nearby. We have the ability, and law enforcement has the ability to do background. If there's a question about somebody carrying a pistol, or somebody has talk online about, I never go anywhere without my sniper rifle, they're going to take that guy down before I get to him.
Yeah.
So it is, look, part of the reason why people are so interested in this and follow these stories, and the reason they're so compelling, is because it's edgy, right? If everybody could do it, it wouldn't be that unique. And we have forged the relationships with law enforcement that nobody else has.
Yeah,
but yeah,
the line between journalist and superhero.
Well, I don't know.
You are kind of
only in my own mind,
like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but like Chris Hansen the pedophile.
Well, it's funny. So, my older kids are in the business now. I mean, one's a reporter down in Orlando, and one lives in Brooklyn, and he does television and film production behind the scenes. But when they were in high school, it was no big deal to have a dad on TV, because they had, kids whose dads were professional athletes and shipbuilders and Wall Street titans and everything. But when South Park did a Chris Hansen Predator parody, suddenly I was the cool dad. That's when there was this crossover into.
Did they try to get your voice for that, or did they reach out?
They don't do that. Simpsons will do it.
Yeah.
The other shows will do it, and you can record it. It's fun to do, and you get the swag. But South Park just does it. They don't tell you. I mean, I was literally on assignment on a different story on the West Coast, and I get a text from one of my agents that says, South Park's doing you tonight. It's pretty funny. And I said, well, okay, in 3 hours, because of the time change, I'll watch it. 23 minutes later, it's taken a dark turn.
So did you like it? Did you?
It was fine. Look, you harness this stuff in pop culture to benefit the mission, right? Mm. And if people aren't talking about you, or they don't know who you are, what you're doing, then you've either retired and aren't doing it anymore, or you're not doing your job. So you have to, without exploiting yourself, without going too far, you have to take advantage of those things when they happen. Yeah. It's like if we're covering a murder or any other event, I get access because of the Predator investigations. It's just pure and simple, because law enforcement respects what I've done.
Yeah.
Unless you're the cop, Todd Baracco, who I busted in mid-Michigan one day. He doesn't have that much respect for
you. Use the fame for good.
You
continue what you're doing. Yeah.
Right. And at all levels, not just the Predator, the takedown investigations, but the other things we're working on. And we've got some really compelling enterprise documentaries. I mean, at least a dozen. The sextortion. This boggles my mind. You talk about kids and being victimized and vulnerable. It's epidemic in our country, where scam artists are getting adolescent boys to send sexually explicit pictures thinking they're sending them to a hot young girl. And then they try to extort them. And these kids don't have any money. They're getting $100 or $200 or what little money they have. And they threaten to expose them to their family on social media. And these kids are killing themselves. 16, 17-year-old kids who are great students, athletes, and they're so afraid to tell their parents they screwed up. And the parents wouldn't care at the end of the day. Grandma's not going to see the picture.
Yeah.
You know, these are con artists a half a world away in West Africa. And literally, we're sitting at the San Jose, California Police Department doing an interview with a mother who lost her son, and the cops and detectives who investigate this. They have 4 reports of sextortion while in the 48-hour period that we're sitting there. There's a...
Bruh, I've had 4 texts. I've had 4 texts that I've blocked each number that like, hey, how you doing? I was like, who's that? I don't got this number. Who's this? And it was like spread out for like 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's like, I was like, who's this? And they'll be like, Anna. I'm like, I don't know. I do know Anna, but like, Anna so and so. They're like, oh, you don't know. And then they'll send a picture of me, and it's like this, like woman, and I'm like, bro, bye. Like, but I'm like, I've never seen this con before, but they lure you in to try to like. I've never seen it. This one's kind of new to me, but I've been blocking the shit out of them.
Yeah, but this is going on all over the country. I mean, and now it's gotten so bad that they're trying to extradite these guys from the foreign countries where they're working.
No, it happened to one of my friends in college. Yeah.
Or you get the email that says like, hey, I accessed your webcam. And...
No, they basically go through Snapchat. They start snapping you and being like, yo, I got your Snapchat at a party the other night. Then they start sending pictures of, you know, an OnlyFans girl's nudes that they bought, and then they think it's a real person. Like they even like have the person's Facebook, where they hack a girl's iCloud and make you think it's actually them. Then they turn it on you and be like, hey, we got your dick pic.
I'm so glad I don't use Snapchat.
That's elaborate, bro.
No, they're like,
yeah, but this is going on. This is epidemic. I mean, we're literally going to North Carolina, or South Carolina rather, in I think like 10 days to interview a state senator, a state lawmaker, whose son committed suicide, and he introduced legislation to make it easier to go after the bad guys and to create education. You know, and again, it goes back to the awareness and educating your kids about predators online. It's the same thing. It's like, look, if you get tricked into doing something, come tell me about it. I remember at the very beginning of the predator investigation, I had like a dozen middle school kids all, you know, sitting on risers. I said, show of hands, how many of you guys have been approached by an adult online and it made you feel uncomfortable? It grossed you out? All raise their hands. How many of you told your parents? Looking down at their shoes, they're kicking each other. 1. Why not? We're afraid they're going to take away the internet. We're afraid they're going to yell at us. And that as a journalist, as a parent, you know, I just had one of my boys got married a couple weeks ago, presumably at some point a grandparent. You know, that struck me. Yeah, you got to keep that line of communication open between parents and adults.
Because the reality is, as a parent, if your child told you something like that, you'd probably be like, good job. Thank you for your... Yeah. I trust the way that you're using the internet now.
Thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
We're going to fight this bad guy together.
Yeah, you did the right thing. That's like, I know now that my child will let me know if they're getting into a bad situation.
Do you think any of those parents whose kids killed themselves in those interviews where I sat through these incredibly emotional conversations, do you think any of them would have really grounded their kids or taken away their cars? Yeah. Or do you think grandma was actually going to see any of that stuff? No, it was in the moment. And because their adolescent brains couldn't get around it and see past it, and because these kids are so attached, their egos are so attached to their online persona. What are people going to think of me on Instagram or on TikTok? It's become woven into the fabric of our very being.
Yep.
And these kids can't see past it.
Yep. Big T, I want to let you cook for a second.
So the one question I want to ask, I don't even know if I want to ask it now. This conversation's been so serious. Obviously what you do is very serious. But are you aware that you're a meme?
Yes, I am.
And does anyone ever recognize you from that, having no idea like what you do on TV or anything like that?
I think most anybody who recognizes me knows about the TV part of it. And, but you do hear from young people, you do come across people walking down the street who only know you from YouTube and social media, who have no idea, because of the exact thing you mentioned, that, I started out as a local reporter in 1981 and have been doing this in one form or another ever since,
So that was actually something else. You mentioned maybe doing a cooking show in Italy or something like that. If you went back to 1981, what did you want your career to look like? Because obviously this isn't something that everybody envisions their career.
Right. I wanted to be, a major market reporter. I mean, I thought at the very beginning, if I could be a reporter for Channel 7 Action News in Detroit, Michigan, what more could you want out of life? And I was very fortunate to not only do that, but to go on and work at the network and to have my own network now and to be in syndicated television and do a lot of different things, executive produce documentaries. And so I'm very fortunate. I had no vision of how the industry was going to be today. I mean, when I took a computer science class at Michigan State University, we couldn't figure out how this could possibly apply to our typewriters and writing a story on shorthand and getting on television. I mean, what's this all about? I mean, the difference between when I started as a television reporter and my son, I mean, it's a whole different world now, and I'm very fortunate to have just had the opportunity to grow with it and to have this sense of curiosity, and the ability to not realize there's anything I can't do. People always say, "Oh, how did you get there?" I said, "Well, I'm too stupid to realize that, that I can't do it." Yeah, so don't put limits on yourself, I suppose, and be curious.
I'm sure you're familiar with Carl Monday. Do you know Carl Monday from Cleveland? He was an investigative reporter.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
Carl Monday, he had a segment that came out. I looked it up. I think it's 2006, and he did an expose, for no better term, on the pandemic of viewing online pornography in Cleveland area public libraries. And they set up like a sting camera, and they caught this kid that was like looking at porn in the library. And then Carl Monday approached him on the street, much less tactful than the way that you conduct your business, and was just like, "Hey, we caught you jacking off in the library." That was the precursor to Catch a Predator, without without all the packaging around it and without the greater mission statement behind it. I just didn't know if you were familiar with his work.
I know the name, and because I'm in our studio is in Cleveland, so I'm familiar with Cleveland media.
Yeah.
On the topic of pornography, there's been a lot of studies saying that the rise of pornography and the widespread access to pornography on the internet has reduced sexual crimes. From what you described earlier, you don't think that's sort of happened to pedophilia. Do you think that these pornographic scenarios are causing more, not regular people, but exposing people to fantasies that they may have never thought before?
I think that's a possibility. I think for some people, having access to porn online has prevented them maybe from seeking out certain sexual pleasure in person. But more often than not, and the studies will show, I think, that there is a link between the viewing of pornography, especially when it comes to child pornography, and offending. And that at some point, the predator, blurs this line between fantasy and reality and needs to fulfill this fantasy, and they act out on it. So I think when it comes to child porn specifically, I think there's more danger of creating a predator who acts out than in preventing one from acting.
Because I've heard some people talk about AI. Like AI could help with it, where they generate fake movies with fake people in it. But I tend to agree with what you're saying, which is don't put that out there for anybody to see, because then they'll be more likely to actually take those urges and act on them in real life.
Well, look, I think adults viewing adult material is adult business, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody. The problem is when somebody who's predisposed to preying upon a child views, the abuse of a child, and every viewing of child pornography is the victimization and re-victimization of a child. Make no mistake about that. that person ultimately will, in all likelihood, offend or try to offend in real life.
Billy, you had something bigger in mind for him, didn't you?
What do you think of the whole Epstein and this idea that there's a vast network of pedophiles across government, corporations?
Pizzagate.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a vast network. I mean, obviously, Epstein was an evil predator, right? And he got a pass because he was, the first time around, because he was wealthy and because he was politically connected. And because his lawyers were able to create this image of, okay, it's icky, but the girls are of age to give consent. And yeah, he took advantage maybe of some who were from, meager means and paid them. But that's as bad as it got. Well, that wasn't as bad as it got. It was human trafficking. It was child sex trafficking. It was all bad stuff. And I was digging around in the Epstein story around 2015, and it's one of my career regrets is that I got busy and unfocused. I chased around some other shows I was doing and some other things. I sort of set it aside. And the lesson here is that the Miami Herald stuck to it.
Yep.
And kept chipping away. Julie K. Brown and her team at the Miami Herald kept at it and at it and at it against a lot of adversity. And without that reporting, Epstein doesn't get prosecuted federally. And the U.S. attorney at the time here in the Southern District of New York in Manhattan will tell you the same thing.
Yeah, because he got a cushy deal because of the political connections, and there's speculation that he had CIA connections as well. Or
I don't buy the CIA. Look, he was good at corrupting people. So if you didn't know the truth about Epstein, right, and say you're a single guy with money, and some guy invites you who also has money, invites you to go on his jet to his island because he's got girls there, you might take a look at that without knowing what was really going on. But once you figure that out, you should get the hell away from there. And the problem was he was able to coax these people and lure them. Why is Bill Gates meeting with Epstein?
Yeah.
Why is Clinton on his plane? Why are a lot of people associated with him? Well, maybe for a minute, there was some legitimate investment interest or philanthropic interest, but at the end of the day, he was a bad, evil predator.
And once he gets you in a compromising position, then you will do whatever.
There were pictures in that safe when the FBI raided that townhouse.
Yeah, and then they leave
40 blocks from here,
and then they come back, and then the safe's empty. He definitely was very good at getting blackmail on people. And
he had dirt on people. There's no question.
Yeah,
but so for example, Ghislaine Maxwell gets convicted for trafficking.
Right.
But no one got convicted for getting trafficked too. So there's a whole host of people that might be compromised in various levels that might be worth hunting down if you're a pedophile hunter.
Well, yeah, I'm not done with the story, by the way. I'm just saying that in those early stages before he was indicted federally here in New York, there was more work to be done. And we honestly tried to set up a sting in Manhattan. And the levels of security were such that it was impractical. I mean, but I took a good run at it.
You tried to set up
we tried to figure out a way to run a sting on the Epstein child trafficking ring, sex trafficking ring.
That would have been incredible.
It would have been incredible. And it proved too difficult. And again, a regret of my career. Who knows whether it would have worked or not? Who knows whether you could have gotten past all the levels of security? But I spent a lot of time then and then afterwards reporting on this. I've got some stuff that's not been reported yet. I've got some people who I'm still trying to get to speak publicly. I mean, the reporting on this is far from over as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine if
I get whacked out here on 7th Avenue, you'll know why. I'm just saying.
Let me know if
that'll be a conspiracy.
Let me know if you need a bodyguard to run interference. Man.
Yeah,
I'm down to go on some missions.
I'm down.
Billy will be your bodyguard. I'm just imagining the scene in To Catch a Predator where you're sitting at the kitchen counter, and then Bill Clinton and Donald Trump walk in together, just fresh off the golf course, and they see you and they're like, "Oh shit!" that would be some all time stuff if you got that one. But it's not over yet. We're still working on it. That's good. It's good to hear. Big T, you got anything else?
I think that's it.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Sure.
Really quick. Pedophiles, when they get incarcerated, they tend to face a lot of violence from the general population. Do you believe they deserve an extra level of security because they're sort of a persecuted class in that environment?
What?
Persecuted is a hard.
I think that was the wrong word. That was the wrong
That's
word.
a horrible question.
They are.
I see where you're coming from. I'll tell you a story. I found out years later. So the David Kay, the guy who's a rabbi, right, shows up in the Herndon, Virginia sting, gets convicted, a bench trial, a judge trial, federal court, and they took a chance saying, oh, the judge would say maybe it was a sting or maybe he got entrapped or it wasn't really. The judge went the opposite way. He said, you're such an evil human being. I'm going to depart above the guidelines and send you away for 5.5 years, 6 years. So he's in prison. Now, the predator investigations are popular among the inmates. And I didn't know this in the beginning, but when they do the marathons, I'll watch it on MSNBC, or it used to. So he's in the TV room with all the other federal prisoners in his institution, and his segment comes up. And I know this from good sources in the federal government.
Oh, no.
And he starts to get nervous because he's up there on the screen and they're okay. And they put 2 and 2 together. And apparently he had a rough go for a little while in his particular federal prison.
I would imagine that's definitely one of the examples of this person should know better. If you're a rabbi, if you're that age.
Oh yeah, and he was working for an organization. There's no indication that he harmed any youth in this organization, but he was working for an organization in Washington, D.C., a very prominent organization that brought Jewish kids to Washington to learn about important political aspects of Israeli-American relations and that whole thing. It's a great organization. And again, there was no indication he abused any of those kids, but
But he probably would have if he had kept going.
He was
down
going to
this
abuse
road.
a kid that day.
Yeah.
He walked into our sting house for a 13-year-old boy like he was, with a spring in his step.
Yep. Did he have the Mike's Hard Lemonade?
He did not.
Who made that decision of it was always, okay, make sure that they bring the condoms and the Mike's Hard Lemonade?
Well, in the course of the conversation with the decoy, anytime the guy actually brings something, it's
proof.
Evidence. It's intent. And so they used to say, bring something that was consistent with the age of the decoy. So in those days, today it's, White Claw.
That's so fucked up.
Whatever the sweetest, most childlike alcoholic beverages.
Mm-hmm.
We had a doctor showed up in Michigan recently on a sting, just a matter of weeks ago, 61 years old. And he brought Coca-Cola, Oreos, and red wine for himself because he had this fantasy. The decoy had braces and he was going to, get Oreos and the braces and do his thing. I mean, it's crazy. For an entire day, he's at his practice, sees 18 patients, and all the while he's texting this girl who's this decoy posing as a teenage girl, and he sends her a picture of his penis while he's seeing patients. He steps away to do this. I mean, but he brought the same items he talked about bringing, and again, that's just another element of the prosecution.
Yeah.
Do you have to get licensing for that? Because I don't. How many brands wouldn't want to be associated with? Because I know, I know, when COVID first hit, in early 2020, the Corona, the beer, the stock took a dip because everybody was associating it with. So did Mike's Hard Lemonade take a dip, or did there was an uptick in it? And what does that say about
I don't
us
think
either way?
we got a letter one time from the attorneys for Mike's Hard Lemonade asking us not to use their product in any further investigations. But,
well, you weren't using it. They were.
No, they were. I mean,
I empathize with the Mike's Hard Lemonade people on that one. It's for one episode. I don't know. Maybe do the Jack Daniels cans.
Bring some 3 cheese.
All right. Well, Chris Hansen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It was a good conversation. Thank you for your service. I think I can say thank you for your service. You've definitely through the course of these investigations, I think you've probably saved a lot of kids.
Well, I think we've raised awareness and we've created this dialogue. And if people want to check out the new investigations, we have you can go to watchtrueblue.com, Macro23, and you can get a discount and sign up for
Okay,
us.
there we go. Macro23 promo code.
Yep.
Go to True Blue. It's watchtrueblue.com.
Watchtrueblue.com, and True Blue is TRUBLU. So, and when you get there, it's much more than the Predator investigations. It's a whole network streaming platform of documentaries and films and a lot of unique content. And literally, you talk about sextortion. That's a documentary we have coming up. The Facebook Fiend, which will blow your mind. All those things come our way because people want me to investigate this stuff, and we are. So there are at least a dozen investigative series in editing right now.
All right.
And a whole bunch of new Predator investigations.
Love it. Well, thank you very much for stopping
thanks
by.
for
You can
having
also
me.
listen to the Predators I've Caught podcast, so check that out if you want
Absolutely.
more Chris Hansen content in your life. All right, that was Chris Hansen. Billy, you had something to add to that interview?
Persecuted was the wrong word. I just meant that they get killed a lot and beat up in prison. Don't want anyone to think I was sympathizing. I just wanted to see if Chris Hansen thought that it was extra crime. I don't know. Just want to hear his thoughts. He gave a great answer.
No, I think I'm gonna get a lot of flack for that too. It's not an easy topic to talk about because it's like when you're exploring like preventative measures, like you have to take into account, the other side, and so it's hard to even take into account the other side because of the heinousness of the crime. So I think exploring that always is going to get your wires crossed from the crowd. And so like I think we all agree they all should be locked up and we should take every measure and step to make sure it doesn't happen again. We all agree with that.
I think what you were getting at, Arian, is that we want to also like prevent that shit from ever happening. And what's the best way from
that was my main Yep.
All right. Well, that's good. You have Billy persecuted class.
I mean, amongst criminals,
there needs to be a protected class.
I mean, they get killed in prison a lot. Like,
yeah.
I
mean, I'm not.
They do.
I'm not.
Street justice.
Yeah.
Street justice. I mean, I'm a fan of an eye for an eye, but I mean, in a box full of criminals, I mean,
yeah.
Well, that's how they take care of their business. I'm not really the politics of prison in general are interesting, but
we should do an episode on that, on like prison gangs.
The politics of prison.
Yeah.
Politics of prison would be good.
And like different prisons have different like rules.
Mm-hmm. Like West Coast versus East Coast, but like you got to pick a side when you go in and shit. Wow.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to do that next week?
We can.
Yeah.
The politics of prison.
I got a boring documentary to make y'all pay $5 for.
I'll pay $5. I will Venmo all of you $5 for that documentary.
Is there someone we work with that's been to prison?
Just jail is different than prison.
I've been to jail.
Billy McFarland.
I haven't been to prison though.
We don't work with anyone that's been like prison, right?
Drunk Tank doesn't count as either.
I know some.
Oh no.
I know people that have.
Okay, Billy.
I know like gangbangers who have been to prison for years. If maybe
we
should have them on.
Was,
good dudes though, solid dudes. Just got caught up in the system.
Was Brace Belden in prison?
I don't think that he was. I don't think that he's been to prison. But Arian,
if you
think you could ask somebody?
Yeah, I got a couple homies. Yeah. I'll see what they say.
I'm interested to find out more.
Yeah, it's wild. And he was like a banger, like out there.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of like, so how's focusing on gym? And then it's gonna be like, shut the fuck up. That's not what
yeah.
Nah, he a good dude. He's solid dude. That's what I'm saying. Most gangbangers I know, like they just regular dudes who that's what they did. They love they set, whatever the case may be. But they just regular dudes and they don't be on that shit all day. You know what I'm saying? They mostly try to focus on that, especially when they got older. Like younger cats, they kind of be on it. But like older, as you age, it's like, nah, man, you gotta try to find something else to do.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week on Nanodosing, and then Macrodosing full episode coming out next week. Hopefully we can get somebody that fits that bill that can come on and educate us, because that's a fascinating dynamic to me. But we will see you guys then. Love you guys.